Welcome to the Jeff Canada Show. But if you're going to get your feelings hurt, you might need to turn this shit off. I've gotten pretty good at dealing with the audio of my videos and stuff, but it's still like every once in a while I'll get one and just get, especially when I film outside at my house because I live right by Hardy. And it's like a racetrack. Yeah. And I'll be out there recording. I won't hear shit. And then I'll be in there and start editing. And I'm like, okay, well, there's 5 trucks that just went by. Right. And there's a train. How'd you not hear it?
Yeah.
You know?
Dalton and I were recording on last week. I don't remember what day it was here. And the lawn guy started. So halfway through it, we're like an hour and a half into. So like halfway through, but he's the one that's going to produce it. So he says he can remove all that shit.
Oh, cool. So I've gotten better at cutting it down. I can cut it down, make it less noticeable. But if I get too crazy cutting it out, it'll start affecting the voices a little bit. It altered the voices a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, all right, Papa, I don't mind if it switches his voice up some because it just makes it that much more
But
noticeable.
You're doing it for actual content, like videos and stuff, not for podcast.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a fuck about a podcast? I mean, it needs to sound good, but it's like, if you get a fucking weed eater going in a podcast, who cares? You get a weed eater going while you're trying to record some cool content and it pisses you off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I actually want to do a podcast just for shits and giggles. I think it's going to be a situation where I just sit down like once a week and break down one of my favorite cars and go into the production and talk about just the stuff I love about automotive engineering and all that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, the reason I started doing this is I don't have any expectations of this at all. Zero. Like, I don't fucking care if anybody listens. If they do, cool. If they don't, cool.
But that's fun.
Yeah.
It's just an outlet, man.
Yeah, it's an outlet. But also, man, I want to become better. One of my biggest flaws that I have personally is a listener. Like, it's very difficult for me to listen to someone talk about something for more than 30 seconds before I'm already looking past them or I already know what I'm going to say.
You're waiting on your turn to talk.
Right. As opposed to being like, okay, I want to hear what you have to say.
I'm a comic. I'm familiar.
Yeah.
We do the same thing.
Yeah. So part of it's that. Part of it is I want to be a better speaker. I want to not say things like and that sort of thing.
Got you.
And I'm hoping that this kind of helps with that because I know I do that a little bit on interviews and stuff.
I listened to a comedian doing a podcast the other day, and I'm not going to say her name, but she's one who is widely hailed and everybody thinks she's great. And I think she said, but like 72 times in the first 20 minutes. Like every sentence was punctuated with this. Like, you sound like a fucking moron.
And was it was her podcast?
No, she was guesting on somebody else's.
Yeah, that's so what I'm doing on this one, I'm trying to get 5 or 6 recorded before I launch my first one. So that way if I have a shitty guest and I don't want them to, you know what I mean? I don't want to air that episode, then or if I got to be on the road or whatever, I don't fall far behind. I can still put one out every week.
Yeah.
That's my goal, is to put one out every week.
Man, I'm trying to bank content right now, and it's so hard. Like, because I'll start putting stuff together, and I'm like, ooh, I want to go ahead and release that.
Yeah.
So what happens, instead of banking content, I just release more content faster. And then then I get burnt out, and then I do a week where I don't go on the internet because I'm just like, I'm done with this.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Same thing with songs. I mean, I have songs in the bag right now that I haven't released yet because of schedules and...
You're trying to just draw it out.
Man, I got to baby feed the pigeons a little bit.
Man, I finally got some good time to listen to music on this road trip that I just took, traveling and stuff. That's always my best. I can put my headphones in and really vibe for something. So that was the first time I got to listen to Back to Texas. It was about 6:30 in the morning, and I was coming out of like Mammoth Cave, Mumfordville, Kentucky, coming into Nashville. Coming over the hill.
Country,
it's a great drive. And I was feeling some kind of way about it was a good week. I went out there, did more than what I intended to do, and I networked, and you know what I mean? I was feeling like a winner. I was coming back. I just listened to Killing It by the War Hippies, and I was like, oh, I need to check out Jeff's song I haven't heard yet. And, man, it's badass. I was digging it, dude. I was like, hell yeah. All right.
Have you listened to the live album yet?
No, I've not.
Yeah, dude. If you get a chance, check that thing out.
I got another, I'm planning a little southern Gulf Coast mini run. I'm going to run out to Pensacola and then do a show in Oxford, Alabama, maybe a show in Huntsville, Alabama, a show in New Orleans, and Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Yeah. So those of y'all that don't know who Jerry Wayne is a stand-up comedian and one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever met in my entire life. And I've hung around a lot of comedians. He's just hilarious, and he's on the road a lot right now.
Yeah.
So I don't want this podcast to turn into is some bullshit like, hey, what are your influences? And and
that's so boring.
I mean, and there's plenty of them out there, and we
all got the same influence. It's Richard Pryor, and everybody knows it's Richard Pryor. Yes, Slade, it's Richard Pryor. Yes, Sam, it's Richard Pryor. It's Richard Pryor.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm tired of answering those same questions, so I just want to do it a little differently. But I do want to, like, how long have you been doing stand up?
I started in 2004.
2004. So
I do got a cool story about that.
Okay, let's do it.
I was a big fan of Ralphie May.
Me too.
And I was always he was just kind of blowing up, and he had just done Last Comic Stand, and I was always kind of bumping my gums to my girlfriend about wanting to be a stand-up comic. And her at the time was one of these people that are like, don't just talk about it, be about it, And so she bought me tickets to see Ralphie the week before I tried stand up the first time. So I go, I see the show, and of course afterwards I total fanboy over Ralphie. I'm like, oh, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, and I really want to do this, and he was really cool. And so I bought a DVD from him, and he signed it. He told me about the Monday night open mic at the Laugh Stop, and he signed it and said, show up on Monday and don't be a pussy. And I still have that DVD, but that was the first time I went on stage. So
yeah. Whenever you went on stage the first time, did you already have some stuff going on, or you just could get up and wing it?
No, I wrote material for it. It was awful.
Yeah. Oh,
it was so fucking bad.
Yeah. I tried it once.
I did a thing about my zodiac sign and how I was Cancer the Crab, and I did like a MC Hammer walk thing back and forth. It was, God, I'm glad there's no footage.
Yeah, well, there is footage of mine. I don't know who has it, but somebody out there has it. It was after the Laugh Stop. It was whenever Sherlock's was doing their open mic thing.
Oh, very cool.
And I'm actually the one that kind of got that started, which was cool because me and Danny Lopez were playing every Sunday up there at the Sherlock's and River, the one in West Gray, the one that used to be the Laugh Stop.
Yeah.
And then that's when I met Slade, and then all these comedians started coming up, and then we started letting the comedians do jokes in between on our breaks.
Oh, nice.
And then it turned into like this cool little open mic thing. So we would play, we'd play like a 45-minute set, then there would be 15, 20 minutes of comedy, and then we'd play 45-minute set. And then
I know Mungle, John Westland.
Yeah, I know all those guys.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I met Slade.
I was absent at that time.
Yeah, I met Slade around 2010 is when I met Slade. That's when I met all those guys. So it was before the Whiskey Brothers podcast started, because I think that started in 2011. And we were doing this thing every Sunday. The next thing you know, I come up there and they open the back room back up, and they're doing the comedy back there, and then we're playing our show up front, which happened for a while, and then it went from, okay, now we're not playing there on Sundays, and y'all, the comedians took over so I lost my gig. But it's cool. I mean, I think the comedians were doing it for free where we were charging, and so I'm sure it worked out how it was supposed to. But that was kind of how that whole open mic and everything started up there.
Comedians are the worst scabs in the world. Everybody always jokes about unionizing comics. Like, that's going to last like 2 minutes.
Do the same thing with music, man. Musicians are the same way. There's always this talk about, hey, we got to stop playing for $150 for a show and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I see. I follow all your comics. I'm vastly interested in it because most comics wanted to be musicians, and half the musicians want to be comics. That's what Chuck Savage always told me.
It's true. Yeah. Or actors. All the actors want to be
when I was younger, I wanted to be a country singer bad.
Oh, really?
But it turns out I can't sing.
Oh, well.
Which is it used to be a huge part of it.
Yeah.
You had to have a bunch of talent and shit.
Yeah, I don't know if that's such a big part anymore.
Now you just got to have abs.
Yeah. Abs or tits.
Yeah, or big, stupid, that hound dog voice.
Or be confused if you have abs or tits. One of the two. That works, too. You could come out of the closet and be famous immediately, probably right now. Just
in country, probably.
Yeah,
you probably blow the doors off everything right now.
Yeah, just the way it's way the whole thing's working out. Did you
see? I was reading this when I was up. I was sitting somewhere and I was looking. They had a newspaper. They were talking about the Waffle House workers are trying to unionize and strike. And I was like, that will be the best thing that ever happens in my lifetime.
Yeah,
because who's going to cross that picket line?
Yeah, no shit.
You know what I mean? They almost have a fight channel dedicated to them on YouTube.
Dude,
some old Burger King employee's going to try to pick up an extra shift and get his ass whipped.
Yeah. My whole thing with that is with comedians or musicians undervaluing the market or whatever. To me, if your product that you're selling is good enough, it'll transcend that shit. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. You know, I'm making a pretty good amount more than the average person playing a show.
But you were always doing that. Even when you were doing cover bands and stuff like that, you had it all.
Yeah.
I was listening to BC was telling me about kind of what you did at one time. He's like, Jeff kind of come in there and set the bar and changed the way it all worked for a while.
I tried to. That's kind of why I am where I'm at right now, is because I finally just, after 16 years of beating my head up against the fucking wall trying to get the whole market to change, I was like, man, if I was to put half as much effort into my own brand as I am trying to get all these other motherfuckers to step up their game, I wonder what I could do.
Yeah. And you're doing original music now too, which is a whole different ball.
And that's what I did. I was like, fuck everybody else. I'm not getting anybody else a gig. If somebody calls me and is like, hey, do you know anybody's open? I'm like, nope. Or I'll be like, I'll get back to you. I'm not going to get back to you. I don't want to be part of the booking phase. I don't want to be part of any of that shit. I just want to go play my shows. And
you know, if it's over, maybe me. How much money you got?
Yeah. Well, usually that's what the problem is. You know, they're reaching out to see if I'm available, and then I'm not. And back in the day, I would have 5 or 6 or 10, 12 musicians. I could be like, hey, I can throw them a bone. Sometimes I'd do it free. Sometimes I'd charge them 10% or whatever. But I just, oh man, it just got to the point where there's only so many times you can have musicians not show up for a gig, and then you have to be apologetic about it. Or, you know, you fuck up and double book somebody, so you got to pay them. You got to pay the other person out of your pocket, or become the dickhead. You know, and there's just so many of those people.
And so many people make you look bad. I've gotten where I really won't vouch. Like I'll vouch for Will Loden. That's my guy, but he goes on the road with me and stuff.
Yeah.
And of course Slade and Sam and those guys. But so many of these young ones have burned me when I vouched for them that I just don't do it. But I did what you did. So I had that same, it was about a year ago. In fact, I just saw like a memory pop up about it in Facebook. I was working for everybody to give me a gig. And I was getting pissed and frustrated, just like I did the first time when I was living on the road and stuff. And I said, man, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to set my home price. And I've been doing it. And it cost me a bunch of gigs. I'm not going to lie. It was uncomfortable.
It scares the shit out of you.
Yeah. There's a feeling where you're like, am I becoming irrelevant? You know what I mean? But now it's happening. People are calling me, and they're calling me in a different way. When they call me now, they're like, hey, what's it going to cost? You know what I mean? Like that's how we're starting the conversation. Same. And I'm doing better. Like I did pretty well in this run, you know, not as good as I'd like to have done, but it was a good starter, like a test for me to go, okay, well, this is how I need to be setting things up.
Did you drive the whole way, or did you fly? Or
we drove.
You drove?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
It was good, man. It was being Will in a Honda Accord. You know what I mean?
See, that's the thing I'm jealous about.
Equipment.
Listen, I'm jealous that you motherfuckers can roll out.
Yeah.
Just in whatever you want. You can take a Vespa if you want to.
As long as I get me and a clean pair of clothes to the venue, I'm all right.
And even
a clean pair of clothes
is questionable.
You know, that's just my frou taste. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel you, bro. But it's like y'all could go out and you show up to the venue and you go on stage and you talk,
make the magic
for 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, and then you go home. Where ours is not quite that. Mine's not quite that luxurious.
Oh no, you got to unload equipment and tune and set up sound and
But on the flip side, if I'm playing to a dead room, I can just lose myself in my own shit.
Yeah.
Where if you're playing to a dead room,
bro,
it's
I told you about doing that. What was it? The guy that Aldine? I opened for him at the Crawfish Festival in Old Town Spring.
Oh yeah.
And this was way back in the day. It's like 2005, 2006. And I opened for him, and I opened for
Jason Aldean.
Yeah.
So that means you're a fucking racist.
Yeah, probably.
Just whatever. It doesn't matter.
No, his crowd hated me, so I think I'm safe.
Nope. You've been in the same room as Jason Aldean. You're a fucking racist.
I went up. It was really funny. It was not funny. It was terrible. I went up, and there was like 3 people wandering around in front of the stage, and this 400-pound woman making love to a funnel cake. And they couldn't be less interested in what I was talking about. And I'm just hammering through my material, just all the jokes I know, just do. And I get down to my last little closer bit, and it had this part where I would kind of like turn around and I would turn around like that. And it was like a reveal, and I'd kind of hide my face from the audience while I was doing this. I don't do the joke anymore, but at the time I thought it was really brilliant. And I'm doing that joke, and I see Jason and his band members like coming up to get on the stage to come up next. And right before they walk on the stage, I flip around, I do the reveal, and there's like 200 people there all of a sudden. They've showed up because they've seen Jason walking to the stage from his bus.
That's funny.
And I instantly wanted to cuss him. Like, man, fuck you, dude. And he's like, hey, man, I like that last bit. I'm like, oh, you like that last bit, jackass?
Yeah. Where the fuck were you for the first part?
Yeah.
That Old Town Spring Music Fest, man, or that Old Town Spring Festival, that Crawfish Festival, that used to be the shit. That's another casualty of COVID.
It was a good time. I always like Old Town Spring anyways, that area and everything, Wunsch Brothers, all that stuff. So it was a good time. I opened up for I think they're called Cowboy Mouth out of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Kind of a rock band.
Yeah, the drummer's the singer.
Yeah, and they were great. They're I loved him. I had so much fun hanging out with him, and they kind of encouraged their fans to watch the whole show, which was really cool. Yeah. So I had an audience, and then they brought me back on after the show. So
yeah, that's what's cool. So you met him before their show. Mm-hmm. See, that's what's cool whenever you're on one of these festivals and the artists that are on the festivals aren't dickheads, and they actually come out and they get in the green room and they talk to you and they get to know you, or they at least pretend to give a fuck enough to where when they go on stage, they talk about the openers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he came. So I was standing behind the stage, and of course there was nobody out there yet. Maybe 5 or 6 people waiting on Cowboy Mouth. And I didn't know who they were. I didn't know anything about them.
Jenny says, man.
And he come up to me, and I always like that Belly song. I love her for her belly. Yeah. And but he comes in the class. She did one where he talks about breaking up the girl because she didn't know who Joe Strummer was. But he comes up to me, and he's like, "You nervous?" I was like, "What the fuck is there to be nervous about? There ain't nobody here." I was like, it's just another show. I'm going to get paid to talk to thin air. And he kind of laughed. He goes, let's see if we can do something about that. And he got up on the stage and grabbed the mic and goes, hey, we're about to start. Everybody get over here. Da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? And people started filtering in. And I was like, man, that was a cool move, bro.
Yeah. And I think those are the people, like that's what I've really noticed is over the last couple of years, those are the type of people I've started surrounding myself with. Yeah. Instead of these other guys that are not about all that. You know what I mean? And then I'm trying to return the favor whenever I'm in a position to put somebody on a stage that normally wouldn't have the opportunity to play there. I try to do that.
That's cool.
You know?
And I've met both celebrities and non-celebrities that fill both roles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've met comics that you would know them if I told you their name and looked them up for you on Google, but they were just complete
divas.
Yeah, just thought the world hung and rotated around. Like it was the craziest thing. You know?
It's just a human thing, man. There's so many. Whenever I was single and dating, there's so many girls that were just everything's about them. Yeah. So comedians are people. Musicians are people.
Yeah,
women.
And comedy's prone to narcissists.
Yeah. Well, I think all forms of entertainment. Yeah. But you know what I mean. You're gonna have shitty cops. You're gonna have shitty firefighters. You're gonna have shitty comedians. You're just gonna have shitty people.
Yeah.
And so if the majority of people you're hanging out with are comedians, then you're gonna realize there's some shitty people in that community.
Bro, tell me about it.
I mean, I've heard Slade tell me stories where I'm just like, holy shit. I think he got arrested one time. I think he beat the shit out of a comedian.
He just punched him one time, and the dude had it coming.
And then he talked about it on the podcast, and then got arrested.
Yeah, the dude had it coming. The dude was being way over the line. I mean, he didn't do anything physical, but everything but something physical.
Yeah.
He was told to turn his camera off several times. He was videoing people that didn't want to be videoed. He's being a prick.
Gotcha.
And Slade grabbed his camera and throwed it out in the road. And
That was at Sherlock's, I think.
Yeah.
That's funny. I interviewed him yesterday, so.
Yeah.
I love Slade, man. I've known him for a long time. Like I said, since like 2010. Him and we've traveled, we've climbed mountains, we've done a lot together. He's a good dude.
Well, you know how I feel. Slade was the first club owner to give me like an out of town gig.
Oh, cool. When he was in Beaumont.
Yeah, and he helped me. I built a lot of my original. I learned a lot of what I know about comedy thanks to gigs that Slade was booking me. He would have me feature for Ralphie, and
Yeah.
I got to work with a lot of great comedians in that club. And he was booking based on talent and more of a meritocracy than it was like, how can I get somebody I like in here or whatever that kind of thing is.
Right.
And I am thankful to have had the friendship I've had with him, because there was a period of time where I left comedy and I kind of lost track with everybody. And then I came back and immediately, I was back a year and I started doing stuff with Slade again. But I wanted to prove I came back through the open mic scene and was like, I'm just going to start at the bottom again and just see if it was a fluke last time or if this is something I've really got. And then I whipped right back through it and I was like, okay, this is my thing,
Yeah. Well, what I noticed, not so much in stand up, because I've hung out with you on a personal level more than I have watching you on stage.
Mm-hmm.
To me, my favorite comedians are the ones that just are comfortable being funny anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean, like, to me, there's guys out there that I just don't think. I think when they're on stage, like, I can tell when they're on stage, it's an act. It's not really who they are. Where when you're on stage, I feel like this is who you. I mean, it's an act, of course, but I feel like it's naturally who you are. I feel that the same way about Slade.
Oh yeah,
John Wesling's the same way. Like, I just feel like it's. I don't know. There's some comedians I watch and I just feel like it's forced.
Yeah,
but yet they're famous, and I'm like, what the? I don't. There's a Netflix guy right now that pops up. It's a new special, and it pops up every time I turn on my Netflix, and I've seen the guy on some podcasts. I don't know what his name is, but when I'm watching him, I just want to go through the TV and punch him in the fucking face because it's that. It's bad.
It just feels that unreal. Yeah. And every once in a while, like, what's really cool is when you meet a comic who's actually funnier off stage than they are on stage. I know a handful of people like that, and it's not an insult. Their own stage act is great too. But
right.
If they could ever harness what they do in the green room.
I think John Wesling's that way.
Oh, John's hilarious.
Off stage, John is the funniest motherfucker I've ever been around. He's fucking hilarious. And yeah, I love that dude too. I mean, I know everybody has their spats and issues and all that stuff when you get into professional situations, but I'm the kind of guy that steps back and I can be friends with anybody as long as they're cool to me.
I try to rise above all that because I wasn't there for any of that, which I do get put in situations sometimes where it's like us versus them or whatever. But I will say that Slade never pushes that type of mentality. He's always very welcoming.
Oh,
so I appreciate doing stuff with him because I feel that way going into his projects,
But also, even with the exception of a couple comedians that I know of for sure with Slade, even if somebody's not on his good side, he's not just trashing them.
No.
He's
more professional.
Yeah, and he'll still invite them to things, and that's what I've noticed.
And I think that's really cool. I try to be the same way.
Not me. I'm petty as fuck, dude.
Really? I've got a handful of people I'm very petty about.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it's like and two of them are celebrities. They're celebrity comics, and we've talked about stuff like that. Like there's two of them I wouldn't piss on to put out fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have no use for them as human beings.
That's also funny, man. Like it's really funny watching artists fight. Like spat over shit sometimes.
Oh yeah, I love come watch your page.
Yeah, like sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's like, what the fuck?
Well, what I like following, one of my favorite things about following you on Facebook is you go and provide opinion on everybody else's fights in music, and every guy's groaning and moaning about the cost of gigs and stuff like that. And you'll come in like, well, if you had anything worth selling, people would buy it,
It's
true. And then they'll start another 40 comment fight. And that's always funny as hell. I go, I'm just the silent little voyeur reading all this stuff like, well, I'm glad it's not just comics.
Yeah. Oh, no, dude. It's really bad. Especially what's really funny is the lower you are, the lower the musicians are on the totem pole, the more drama it is.
The more opinions they have.
And it's fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And I'm the kind of guy that I kind of try to take the realistic stance on everything. Like what is it? What's really? Not what it should be. What is it really? So if we're talking about, a microphone, for example, you know, and I'm like, hey, this microphone's awesome. You're going to get at least 3 musicians that barely can fucking even get a gig. Just started saying, well, that's, you know, then they'll have an opinion on that fucking microphone. And you're like, bro, how many shows have you played?
Yeah.
Like this last microphone I've played at least 2,000 shows on it and never had a problem out of it. Like your 3 shows that you played last month, you have no, you're like,
do you remember when you didn't used to have to be an expert on everything?
When
it was okay to just not have an opinion and shut the fuck up? Do you remember that?
Yes.
The way that used to be?
Yes.
Like you could just be like, you remember when you could just like take a Zebco and go fishing and you didn't have to have $30,000 worth of NASCAR clothes on and on a $40,000 boat, or you just didn't know what the fuck you were doing. You know, like it's everything now. Barbecue, there's nothing that you can go do or talk about being interested in that somebody's not going to show up and like fucking explain it to you and tell you how much they know. Like
3 words could fix our entire society right now. If every single person on this planet would learn these 3 words together, I don't know.
Yeah.
It would literally solve societal issues all the way across the board. Because this bullshit, I mean, it's just crazy. I did the TikTok about it the other day. I mean, you can't even have a conversation about iPhone versus Android without fucking somebody getting heated and damn near shooting up a place.
Yeah.
So what makes you think we can have a conversation on a real fucking issue?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm with you.
And how many stand-up comedians that you know that were just stand-up comedians, good or bad, but then all of a sudden are experts on virology because of COVID.
Oh my God.
You know?
Or every time there's a like one of these like the George Floyd stuff, all of a sudden everybody's a fucking lawyer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you know what you're talking about.
And what's funny is it's getting people in trouble now because now you got these people on TikTok going out there and picking fights with the cops because they think they're going to fucking win, saying things like, well, I don't have to show you my ID and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, God damn, bro. I don't know what the law is. I don't know what the law is. I don't know. What I can tell you is the way I was taught is if you're over the age of 18, you have to have an ID on you. And if a cop asks you for your ID, you have to give him your ID. That's the way I was taught. I don't know if that's the law, but I can tell you mama's skillet to the side of my fucking head mattered a lot more than
the legal interpretation.
Right. And so it's like, I'm not trying to say you have to bend over and do things that you're not supposed to do. If a cop comes up and says, hey, you got to suck my dick or I'm going to take you to jail, then obviously
I'm going to start asking questions.
Then obviously there needs to be an issue.
Do I need an ID? You know,
right. But if a cop comes up to me and is like, hey,
you want my ID first?
Hey, hey, my name's so-and-so. I need your ID. And then my first question is never going to be, well, what are you pulling me over for? My question is going to be, okay, here's my ID. There's no question about it. Here's my ID. And then we can take it from there. But it's always going to be from a polite standpoint, not because I trust the fucker, just because I don't want to die.
Yeah, I don't want to be an accident.
And I don't want to go to jail.
But also, this dude's already got a day going on. I don't know what his day's been like.
Right. But they also don't know what our day's gone like.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan. I'm not a back to blue guy. I'm not. But I'm also, and that's just because of my personal experiences in life, but I'm also not an antagonistic idiot.
Right.
And I just don't, I watch those videos and I'm like, dude, if he slaps you right now, I'm not going to cry for you.
Yeah.
If he just reaches in the window and slaps the shit out of you, I'm like, and you're going to go, police brutality. I'm like, no, you kind of had that one coming.
Yeah.
You're being a dick.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You were doing everything you could to antagonize this man while he's on his job. I've never had a cop, and I've been in some situations, but I've never had a cop pull me over that walked up my car and started. I've had them come up and go, damn, son, you're going way too damn fast. That's why I pulled you over. They always tell me.
Yeah,
every time. Like, I pulled you over because that registration sticker. Pulled you over because you didn't use your turn signal back there. You got your license ready. That's just part of the gig.
Yeah, but you're also guilty of being white, so don't forget that part.
Well, yeah, but that's how I feel about those little antagonistic dudes. Like, you don't understand white.
Oh, yeah.
You don't understand that you have, what's the thing? White privilege.
It's insane.
You haven't been shot yet.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
Like,
but my thing is you can have your stance, have your values, right? You can have your values and not be a fucking warrior for those
polite.
values. You know, for example, like I'm not a Christian, right? I'm atheist, or I don't even know if I'm atheist. I don't know.
That's where I'm at. Okay.
I don't know. So it's but I'm not one of those dickhead atheists that are like, if you fucking believe in the Bible, you believe in fairy tales. I'm not a Rob Mungle, is what I'm trying to say.
Have you been?
Yeah. I'm not a Rob Mungle or Bill Maher, one of those guys that are like, so they wear their atheism like it's a badge of honor. And
well, they're as bad as some of the hardcore Christians with the way they behave. Like,
right. And I think that's so it's same thing with the other way. You know, if you're a hardcore Christian, like just you can be secure in your values and not be a fucking asshole about it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I heard Penn Jillette talk about it one time, the magician dude, and he's a really interesting guy. And he said, it doesn't bother me when Christians proselytize to me because I know they believe that. Mm-hmm. And if a Christian proselytizes to me and is trying to save my soul, then it means they care about me because they believe in what they're talking about. I'm a little more concerned when somebody believes all that and then they just look at me like, oh, I'm not going to bother you with this. And I'm like, oh, so you're just screw me, huh? But the opinionated and the mean and the judgmental, I don't care for that on either side.
Yeah, same here.
You know, and I'm very much, I don't know. I was raised really strict Pentecostal and I thought I knew all the answers to everything until one day I didn't.
Woof.
And the older I get, the less certain I am. The older I get, the less certain that I am certain about anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, I was kind of the same way. Like the way I was raised ultra right wing conservative. I'm talking about, you know what I mean? Just yeah. You know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've raised my hand to the sky a few times. What I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just the way I was raised, and when we would go, when we were with my mom, we'd go to a Southern Baptist church on Sundays. And then every other weekend we were with my dad, we'd go to a Lutheran church every other Sunday. So now I'm getting taught Southern Baptist on one Sunday. I'm getting taught like a lax, like really Lutheran is like they're lazy Catholics.
Pretty laid back. Yeah.
They're lazy Catholics. Mm-hmm. So you're still doing all the Lent. You're still doing all the kneeling 5,000 times for, you know, but you can drink and be stupid. And so, but man, you talking about just fuck with a kid's head where it's like, okay, you go to one church and it's fire and brimstone. You go to the other church and it's fucking la-ti-da-ti-da-ti-da, you know? And then you go to, it'll fuck you up.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Well, you're hearing two different perspectives on the same story.
But then you get older and you know, I'm the kind of guy that once I realize something is fishy or something seems like bullshit, it's probably bullshit. And so when I got older, and I started looking back at the way I was raised and the values I was raised with and not all of them, of course, but, you know, and I started realizing that people aren't the way that I was taught they are. And then I met some, you know, people that weren't Christians that were some of the nicest, sweetest people on the planet that give the shirt off your back, welcome you into their home, give you free mushrooms, you know, those kind of folks.
Religion doesn't equal morality.
Right. And I think that's the big deal, you know, and, you know, I feel like I'm behind the eight ball a lot in society because I'm not a believer. So it's like I'm down on I'm down on the ladder.
Well,
you know?
Especially with our fans and our following, because I get it a lot. I get people coming there and like, oh man, I really love what you do. I wish you wouldn't blaspheme so much. And I'm like, first of all, I don't think you know what the word blaspheme means. Second, I'm sorry. This is what I do. God made me. If you believe everything you spout, Timothy 4:4, everything under God is good. God made me. He knows I'm a fool. So
yeah, absolutely.
Who are you to say you made a mistake?
And that's got to be the argument. And that's really, to me, that's the argument with everything. It's like, I just let everyone do what they want to do, man. Live the way you want to live, as long as you're not impeding on someone else.
You're not hurting somebody.
Right.
They're taken from somebody. You know what I mean? I got no problems with it. And just like that, I've met wildly immoral people who were heavily steeped in religion.
Yeah, same.
And then just wonderful. Slade's one of the better human beings I know. Yep. And not a very religious person at all by any stretch of the imagination. But as far as being kind and treating people well and treating people how they should be treated, even sometimes when they don't deserve it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You know, so I.
Are you the kind of guy that if you're at a funeral or a wedding or a whatever, and they say bow your head, do you bow your head?
Yeah,
I do too. Yeah, I'm the same way.
Just respect to me.
Yeah, to me, that's it.
one of the things I was taught a lot growing up was respect.
Respect.
And it's, I don't have to believe in what you believe, but I can respect the fact that you do and it's important to you. Yeah. And that's, I've got things that are important to me.
Yeah.
So I get it. You know, as long as you offer me the same respect when it's something that's important to me. One of the things it used to make me not very popular on job sites when I was younger because I'm just very, when it comes to be married, I don't like married dudes that screw around. Oh. That's one of those things that I had some bad situations where I realized that some of these dudes weren't trustworthy. And I'm like, well, never mind. The one person in the world is supposed to be able to trust you. Can't trust you. Why the hell can I, you know?
Right.
And guys like, oh, that's awfully preachy and da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, you got to live it. And I'm like, well, I do live it, though. So this is what I do. I don't mess. That's my sacred covenant. That's my thing I believe in, you know. So if you think going to church every Sunday is what's making you good, cool. But understand this is the thing that I take seriously, you know.
Yeah, I know guys that do that on a pretty regular basis and never, ever feel bad about it. I mean, I personally did it with my ex, and I remember it being very, very, very difficult to forgive myself on that whole thing. But I know guys that do it and they have no qualms about it. Yeah. And it's pretty crazy because like
it's different when somebody's in a situation, and I'm not talking about somebody being in a situation where maybe a marriage is just not working anymore, right, and people are unhappy and they're looking for ways to fix their unhappiness. Mm-hmm. That's not, but it's just these dudes that just, it's sport. Yeah. Like they just don't give a damn. And they know they're going to do it no matter who they're married to. It's not, that's just a conquest. That's just a game to them, is doing that. Like those are the guys I'm like, why'd you get married?
Yeah.
Why? What is in this for you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what do you get out of this? Why did you want to do this to yourself? Because you clearly don't want to live this way.
Well, they do because they probably, you know, they probably got somebody at home that eats their bullshit like it's candy, and you know what I mean, and just does everything for them. And I mean, I've seen that happen a lot where you got a guy and you're like I understand why my situation happened, right? I understand it. Brooke understands it. Like we understand why it happened, right? We're very sorry that it happened and it sucks that it happened, but we both understand why it happened. But there's some guys that are married to women that like bend over backwards for them, and they still,
and they'll just keep doing it because there's never going to be anything to stop it.
Right.
But you and Brooke like co-parent well, and y'all have a good relationship, and y'all really put a lot of stuff aside for your kids, which is.
Yeah, a lot of that we've talked about that. A lot of that was because of me. Like whenever it came out, when everything came out. I mean, we were already separated when everything came out, and when it came out, I didn't put it back on her. I didn't defend it. I just kept saying, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. That's the only thing I can say.
Well, that's called being a man. That's called owning your bullcrap, you know?
And she actually told me one time that the only reason that she didn't like really do something very serious to herself really is because she could see like that it was eating me up. And that she forgave me a long time before I forgave myself.
Well, it probably let her know that it had less to do with her too than it was something you were going through.
Yeah. And, you know, and once it all cleared, once the air all cleared and we got to the part where we can actually have a conversation, then that's when we started really talking about what really happened. And no, it wasn't all my yes, that action was my fault for sure.
No, but it was the unhappiness.
Yeah, it was, we both fed into that. And you know, it's just one of those things where I think the quicker you own your shit, the quicker it gets over.
And you get to the bottom of what's causing it. And
right. And that's me. Like, I want to get to the bottom. What is going on? Yeah, I understand that you're mad at me because I left the toilet seat up. But is that really why you're mad at me?
So why do you care about that? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's me and Rach. So we've been together like 16 years. And she taught me a lot about communication because before I was married one time before. Very short-lived to
same.
Well, it was just a nightmare. It was not a good situation, and we were both on drugs and little not violent towards each other, but violent in our outburst and
very toxic.
You know, a lot of it was just a bad situation. If me and her were at a bar, the likelihood of one of us getting in a fight with somebody was pretty good because we instigated that terrible, toxic behavior in each other. We're just two people that shouldn't have ever been in the same room together.
I got my first wife was that way.
Yeah, much less dating or married or whatever, you know. But before that, I was very much, if we had a fight, we were broke up. See you later. You know what I mean? There was no fight and make up and let's try to fix our relationship. It was just,
yeah.
I'd be dating a girl for a year. We get in a big fight and it was like, oh, I guess we're done. All right. Yeah. And I'd go on to the next thing, you know?
Yeah, that's the way I am. That's the way I was, you know, before Candace. As soon as something started getting fucking a little wonky, I was out. And then when I started dating her, and then I actually got to the point with her too, where I was just like, okay, if we're not gonna fix this, I'm out. But you know, her and I really communicate really well together. I mean, we talk all the time.
Yeah, it's clear. I see you do together.
Yeah, and it's so nice to have somebody that you're talking with, and a lot of that is because I don't want to make the same mistakes that I made previously. I feel Slade and I talked about this yesterday. Like, one of my mottos is, without communication, there is no gateway for respect. Mm-hmm. And that's how I truly feel about everything. Like, and even in today's climate, with the right versus left, when everything's so politicized, if you can't shut the fuck up long enough to hear what the person sitting across the table has to say, you can never get to a point where you can respect that person.
Absolutely.
So you have to shut the fuck up and listen to what they're saying and try just a little bit to understand what's going on in their brain and what's making them tick. You know, this whole jumping down somebody's throat because they said something they shouldn't have said 20 years ago is insane, because it gives no room for growth.
Well, there's no redemption either.
No redemption, no growth, no conversation, no respect. You know, I mean, there are things that I said 20 years ago that I'm ashamed of now. And if it's on video or audio or anything like that and it comes out, I'd be very, very ashamed of that. So, I'm not that person anymore.
If you were the same idiot you were 20 years ago, you would have wasted 20 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I know people that still believe, like, even 20 years later, still believe the same shit that I believed back then, you know?
Yeah.
And they haven't grown at all. And for those people, you take their actions now. You don't take their actions 20 years ago. Like, how are they now? What kind of person are they now? You know, I have a friend of mine. This is a true story. He was in New York State and he committed a armed robbery. Okay, he got sentenced to 8 years in New York prisons. He did 10-year sentence. He did 10 years on an 8-year sentence. So that'll just tell you he was not the model. Not the model inmate.
Mistakes were made.
You know? Yeah. And so he gets out, and a lot of these details may not be completely accurate, but I know that for the most part they are. He gets out, he moves to Texas where his dad's at. He completely turns his life around. Now he runs a nonprofit organization that I know for a fact 100% of the money goes to the people that he's raising money for. He's since then been pardoned by the governor of New York.
Oh, that's cool.
So he's a completely changed person, right? Mm-hmm. And so if that guy can change, someone that said the N-word 20 years ago can change.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it Maya Angelou? When you know better, you do better.
Yeah,
100%. You know what I mean? I was a terrible little prick. God, so self-righteous too. And I think about some of the stuff that idiot said. You know, people are always like, "Oh, what would a 40-year-old tell a 20-year-old?" I was like, 40-year-old me would probably hit 20-year-old me first.
Yeah, absolutely. Knock the fuck out of him.
Just like, I know this isn't going to do any good because a lot of other people are going to hit you too, but I'm going to get my lick in too. Yeah.
But even now, like I'm growing as a person now. Like I'm wrestling right now. I'm wrestling in my head. One of the big things that's going on with me right now is now I have these younger artists. I'm talking 14, 15, 16 year old, 12-year-old artists that have me up on this pedestal, like as a mentor. And so now I'm like, damn, like, first of all, I didn't ask for that shit, but mostly, like, whenever, should I really hit this fucking pipe? Like, should I hit this pipe at 12 o'clock in the morning on Instagram? It's like, should I do that? Or, you know, or maybe clean up my language or whatever. And I know a lot of people want me to do that, but on the flip side, this is who I am. So it's battling with that. So I'm having this like moral battle with myself right now about, do I just keep doing what I'm doing, or do I kind of bend a little bit to engage this younger, crowd, or this younger people that
for whatever reason it is that you appeal to them, it's because you're being yourself.
Yeah.
And so you changing that is not they'll just go find somebody else to be appealed to that represents how they're feeling about things.
Yeah. It's
Young
just weird.
People are angry too, man. It's a miracle
weird.
they haven't caved our heads in. Really, we've made a mess of shit.
Dude. And what's really funny is when we blame them.
Yeah,
that's the funniest part. The funniest thing about me, or the funniest thing that I see, is seeing some 50-year-old man bitching about the millennials.
Oh my God.
Because I'm like, motherfucker, you raised 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like three of those assholes are yours.
And we screwed everything up. And it's a miracle they haven't caved our heads in, because there's more of them than us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think if there was ever a game where you go around bashing people's heads, that might happen. But right now they're too busy trying to catch Pokemon to fucking worry, or whatever the latest and greatest thing is.
What's always so funny to me is when, especially the boomer group, I poke a lot of fun at the boomers. Because I'm Gen X, and I'm from that late part of Gen X where we all had boomer parents,
but we're the last sane generation, I think.
There's just so few of us,
that
it doesn't matter. We can say anything crazy we want, and nothing's going to change.
But I don't know. I feel like I feel like Gen X's are the ones that, to me, are the most level-headed out of all of them.
Really, I feel like we're a science project.
Really,
I feel like they were just like, well, we're just gonna. We're going to have these kids. We're going to feed them Pop-Tarts and Mr. T cartoons and see how they turn out.
Yeah, but we had to overcome, dude. We had to adapt and overcome. We had the fucking Nintendo that you had to like legit fucking reverse engineer to get to work half the time. You know what I mean? We had to figure shit out. We were the first ones to figure out cell phones. We're the first ones to figure out the internet. Fuck. Whenever I was a kid, get my dad to play Oregon Trail on the fucking on the little Apple computer. Like, he was a completely and totally like he couldn't have done that.
No.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But now you got these, like, to me, one of the problems now is these kids don't have to figure anything out. I mean, they got to figure out society, of course, but they don't have to figure shit out. Your game system's gonna work. Like, the technology's there, it's gonna work. Your computer's gonna work.
But they have to figure everything else out because it's become such a part of the fabric of life now.
Yeah.
That the real world interactions, and like I'll give you this. It always makes me laugh when the boomers talk about millennials, because first of all, millennials are in their 40s now.
Yeah.
They're talking. I'm like, you're talking about Generation Z, and you don't know anything about these idiots.
Yeah,
bless them. But millennials are running the country almost, or they're going to be in the next 5 years. Because there's not enough Gen X to do it. But I had these they're Gen Z guys that worked for me when I had my little construction company, and I remember we were in Home Depot one day, and there's this cute little girl at the cash register, working the cash register, and I come from the time where you had to go talk to somebody. If you wanted to meet a girl, you better know somebody that knew her, or you just had to walk up and introduce you. I would just walk around Sam's boat talking to people all night. That's how I met girls back in the day. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? It was a numbers game. You just threw it against the wall and see if the spaghetti ever stuck.
Yeah.
Occasionally it did. It was a good night.
Or a bad one.
Yeah. Or something you didn't tell anybody about. But these 5 dudes, grown ass boys, I was like, well, which one of you should go over there and talk to her? And they were hiding behind me. Like, they looked at me like my head fell off. Like, oh no, my cousin goes to school with her and he's got her Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat her, and I'm like, what? That sounds fucking exhausting, bro.
Yeah.
You could find out in 2 minutes. If she smiles and offers to talk to you later, win.
Yeah.
If she looks at you like you're a piece of shit, she got stuck to her shoe, don't waste any more of your day about it. Go on with your life.
Yeah, or just wait till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Just wait till 2 a.m. and nobody else is.
Yeah. Test her after a couple of fucking Michelob Ultras.
It's weird, man. It's weird. So me and Brooke split up in 2018, 18 or 19. I can't remember. I think in 2019 we split up. And, I was kind of seeing somebody at the time, so I really wasn't trying to date anybody. But then once that all ended, I got on to Bumble. Is that
like a dating app?
Yeah, it's a dating app. I think I did Bumble and Facebook and a couple other things. And I did it for like 2 weeks, bro. And I'm just like, I think I met one girl off there. Nothing happened. And then maybe two, I don't remember. But it was like, this is fucking wild. Like this right here is fucking wild. One of the, like a celebrity can't do it because I'm not a celebrity, but dude, I was running into people left and right that like, I'm talking about exes, like friends' exes and shit are on there. You know, you're like, no. Sometimes I'd swipe right just to fuck with them, but like, but man, it's like the Wild West.
Or it's worse when you see your buddy's wife on there and you're like, hey, what's?
I just don't understand that. I don't understand that whole thing. I can't wrap my head around it.
It seems I could understand it. So I saw one that was put out for like single parents, and it's like aimed at single parents. I get it then.
Yeah.
Like if you got a kid all the time, you probably don't have time to go out places, meet people, you know, and so it makes sense to me why it would be it just looks exhausting.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff. I haven't dated since when did we get 06, 05, 04?
Yeah.
You know, last time I was single, if you sent a dick pic, it had to be a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Which would just be weird. Just chasing somebody around waving a Polaroid out. You want this?
Yeah.
You know?
Dick pic via carrier pigeon.
And that's still like that's one of those phenomenons I still don't understand.
Dick pics?
I don't. I'm like, what? That is not my favorite part of my body. I mean, I like using it, but
yeah, it's weird. I mean, I've sent some.
That's not what I wanted to see first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've sent some to people that I like that I'm dating.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't understand the random, like
the unsolicited.
Yeah. Like what? Like how does that?
They had to make a law about it.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah.
They had to make a law. They had to make it illegal to do that.
Listen, dude, fucking people are fucked up perverts, bro. We are fucked up. Men mostly are fucked up. I saw the new movie Sound of Freedom.
I hadn't seen it.
It's a great film, dude. It's not near as in depth as the left makes it out to be, meaning it's not talking about world leaders, it's not talking about celebrities, it's not talking about Epstein, it's none of that stuff. It's
all I've heard is like all my really Christian friends are like, you gotta go see this movie, it's the greatest movie ever.
It's a great movie.
And then I saw the producer just got
arrested
picked up for kidnapping, and I'm like,
but it's a producer. It's a fucking producer. Like, come on, how many? Like, I have producer credits on some shit that I never even touched.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know. That's not been my experience. My experience is everybody.
So I'm kind of wondering, like what, like as a producer, what was his role? Not only that, again, what we were talking about earlier,
probably just money.
Not only that, there's shitty people in every community. You know,
I
mean,
absolutely.
Just because a producer, I don't care if James Caviezel gets fucking arrested for fucking kids. The point of the movie, like it's a great movie.
We just like to point out that James Caviezel is not under warrant or anything.
Oh
like
yeah. I'm just, you know what I mean? It's like, what are we doing here? But it's just a good movie. Like it's just a good movie. If standalone, even if you didn't even pay attention. But what I do know is I live in Montgomery County, Texas, and I read the Montgomery County Police Reporter almost every day.
Yeah, I look for friends in there.
Yeah, I see someone I know at least 3 times a week. But the problem is there's at least
It was all fun and games till I got my picture in it. And I was like, this is bullcrap. This has to stop.
Yeah. I got my picture in one in Harris County, but not Montgomery
I want
County.
Scott Engel off the map.
But what's crazy is there's literally 2 to 3 people almost every single day that are arrested for either sexual abuse of a child or child pornography.
Well, Conroe's a sanctuary city. You know that, right?
I don't know anything. What I do know.
So Conroe is a city where they've made a deal and they get funding back in exchange for allowing sex offenders to rehab there and come live there.
Okay. Well, that makes some sense. But even then, Montgomery County, like we're a small little southern county in southeast Texas. I mean, it's a large county in Texas, but it's still small. It's you're talking about 350 million people in this country. Just in this little county, much of
it's going on.
We're getting that every day. So what does that number look like nationally?
Well, I've looked at this only because I was working on something just recently where I got privy to some information about some theories about Texas trafficking and stuff, and I was like, I just gotta go. It was a TikTok video I watched.
Just gotta go down the rabbit hole.
I was like, what is going on? Could this even be real? And so I started looking at it, and Texas's numbers are not. Boy, we are not setting a good example. There's more of it going on here than a lot of damn places, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer for that is. I don't know. You know, I'm no genius. I don't know how to stop it other than start shooting people for doing it. You know, like.
Well, I think one thing. I never want to blame any of that on the parents because that's not what I want to blame. But one thing that I noticed just in society in general is the parents don't have control of their kids the way that we were controlled when we were kids. Like, yes, when we were home, we would leave it like when I was home, we would leave in the morning and we wouldn't be back home until night. We'd be in the woods making forts.
Oh, yeah,
we would be, but we weren't allowed to go. Like we weren't allowed to go into town and hang out at the whatever. You know, we just weren't allowed to do that as young kids. But what I noticed now, like a lot of bars and restaurants you go to, and the parents are sitting there at the table and they're eating or drinking or doing whatever they're doing. They're letting the kids run fucking wild. Anybody could literally snatch that shit up.
Yeah. But so much of it is family members and stuff.
That's for
I
sure.
am somebody, I won't go too much in detail about it, but I had a family member doing things to me for a period of time. And it was a trusted family member. And I broke that cycle of my kids. Nobody gets ultimate trust with my kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they don't do a lot of sleepovers. They don't, you know what I mean? I'm just.
Yeah. Well, mine are older now, you know, mine's 12 and 23, but yeah. Oh yeah. I totally get it. And that, you know, Candace is really worried about that too. And that's why, you know, Gracie doesn't really do a lot of sleepovers either. And
I cut off one whole leg of my family and it hurt, but because nobody else would see what was going on. And I was just like, that's not going to be a part of my kid's life.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
You know
I feel you, man. I have
whatever happened to me and I'll get through it and figure it out. But one thing I'm going to make sure is that the buck stops here. This is where that's what I can do as dad.
Yeah.
To say, you know what, I'll make this sacrifice to make sure this never is a part of our life.
Yeah, that's two things I can't like. There are two things that happen in society that no matter what, I cannot wrap my head around. I just can't as a person. I can't wrap my head around someone doing something to a child, and I can't wrap my head around a man who puts his hands on a woman. I just, no matter what, I can't wrap my head around it. I've been mad at women. I've been like. I hated some of them, you know what I mean? And they've hit me, and never, ever one single time in my entire life have I thought about hitting a woman. It just, not one time.
Well, no, and a lot of that just goes back to where we were raised.
Yeah.
You know, I had all that drilled into me so bad that when a woman ran over me with a car on purpose, I didn't hit her. And now I kind of feel like, well, I might have should have took a swing.
See, I was the opposite. I mean, I was raised, or not raised, but I saw that happen a lot. Not a lot, but enough.
I saw some of it in the older generation because, I grew up with white trash. And I definitely saw some of it there. But my dad was just so like, I remember my sister's like 3 or 4 years younger than me, and me and her got it, and she would get hysterically violent, and she's trying to claw my eyes out, and I slapped the piss out of her, and I thought my dad was going to kill me.
Yeah.
Bro, the beating I received to correct that behavior, still like to this day, I'm like, oh, no. You know,
see, that's another thing, man. I think that there were certain things that would happen when we were kids that changed our DNA almost. Like,
it rewired your programming for damn sure.
There's two things that happened to me as a young kid. One time, my brother, so I was out playing at the neighbor's house, and we were at my pawpaw's. We were staying with my pawpaw. I was at the neighbor's house. My brother was at his house. I was hanging out. Well, then I came home for lunch. I ate lunch, and then I left. Well, when I left, I took my brother with me, but I never told my pawpaw that I was taking my brother with me. So he fucking comes across the field. He's got a bamboo cane in his hand, bamboo, and he gets my brother. My brother doesn't run, so he gets my little brother. He takes his little couple lashings. Me, I try to run. Well, my papa's
wore your ass out.
I'm telling you, I got whooped from that pot all the way to the house. I had whelps from the back of my middle of my back all the way to the now is that child abuse? Probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But guess what? I never did again. The thing is it didn't come from it didn't come from anger on his end. It came from being fucking scared shitless. Yeah. It came from love, came from wanting to teach me a lesson. And he did. From that day forward, I never went anywhere without fucking telling anybody. Like to this day, I don't get up and go to the store without texting Candace, but hey, I'm running the store real quick. Like you're going to know. That was one.
I had a buddy hanging over. Me and Rachel, this is back when we lived in Oak Forest, and we're sitting in the backyard, right? And he comes over about 4:00 in the afternoon. He has beer, and we'll have a couple cigarettes, sit around bullshit, and all of a sudden that turns into midnight. And we're sitting, we've made a couple beer runs, and we're drinking, having a good time. And he goes, well, I guess I better head home. I told my girlfriend I was going to get some cigarettes at like 4. And I was like, I couldn't even wrap my head around. It was the funniest thing I'd ever heard in my life. I was like, dude, Rachel would have already found me. Right. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have been good. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's the way I was in my previous marriage, man. Like Brooke would wake up to notes saying, hey, I went to Lake Charles with friends. Like it was, we didn't, there was none of that. And so I'm really glad that I have Candace now. She kind of keeps me accountable. And so I'm not doing stupid shit all the time.
Well, I like it on the road, especially because the last thing I'm going to do every night is call her and talk to her. And so I told you, I got in Nashville and things got wild. But then there was that sobering kind of like, hey, you got to call your wife dumb shit.
Yeah.
And let her know what the hell all's been going on all night and everything. And then you kind of feel like an idiot. You're like, I'm getting too old to behave this way. I'm 46 years old. I need to just take my ass back to the hotel and be ready for tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
This is dumb. And that helped, cement that. I was like feeling, and then I kind of did it Friday night, but not near to that extent. And it was still, I was like, I don't want to, okay. Yeah. I got a person at home worried about me and stuff, and this is stupid,
Yeah, but we're also both at that point now where our desire to make them feel comfortable with the situation outweighs our desire to do naughty shit or to do to do anything negative.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Like to me, it's more important for me to let Candace know that I'm not doing anything I shouldn't be doing than it is to flirt with a girl or any of that shit. And I think that's age, wisdom.
Yeah, and I don't.
And we got good girls.
It's never stuff like, but it's just like, do I need to be wandering around Printer's Alley at 2 a.m. lit?
Yep.
I could have got robbed, mugged, stabbed, beat to death. You know what I mean? And then where does that leave my wife and kids? That's stupid.
Yeah, and a lot of things that I'm talking about aren't even like ill conceived. It's just like.
It's just got dumb.
I just do stupid shit sometimes. I'm the kind of guy that will fucking do stupid shit. And so it's just nice to have somebody that, in your brain to like,
accountability buddy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So thanks, babe. If you hear this, thanks, babe.
They don't listen to this crap.
Yeah. I figure she might listen to one or two. She might listen to this one. She really likes you a lot. So she might actually listen to this one.
It's always funny to me because I'll say something about Rachel, the Whiskey Brothers, and Trey will be like, ooh, you better watch out. I was like, she don't listen to this show. Oh, yeah. I think she's heard one, and that was enough.
Man, I've had some times on that podcast. Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, I think I did the 150th episode live with them, and we were so fucked up, dude. Man, I don't know how I made it through my 30s.
Oh, so for me, it's like late 20s, early 30s. But yeah, there was a period there where I've never had a DWI.
I got one.
I've never had a DWI.
I mean, it's not on my record, but I have.
I've never had a drug charge. Oh, no. I got popped in Montgomery County with weed.
Oh, there you go.
2004. Yeah. But I've never. So like, there's a lot of that I missed out. Like I've never had any. I was always minded my manners with women, so I've never had any women come say, "Oh, he was acting this way" or whatever, So there's a couple nights I don't know how I got home.
Yeah,
there's so many nights I don't got answers for that I'm like, you blessed lucky moron. Stop doing stuff like that. You know.
Well, that's one of the reasons I quit drinking was I got pulled over 3 times in 3 months. And the last time I got pulled over, I woke up the next day and there was a warning in my truck from a state trooper. So that means I got pulled over that night.
Got a warning, a written warning.
By a fucking state trooper, got a written warning. He did not take me to jail, and I don't remember any of it.
Ooh,
so
brother.
That was like, all right, it's time. And so I really, really, really stopped.
You didn't ask him why he was pulling you over?
I don't remember. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did I get my...
I got to show you my license, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. It's so funny, dude. I was like, fuck. And then, so I slowed way down, way down. And then there was an issue with, I played at the Dax Shack, which is this place over in Montgomery, and they brought in a whole green room. They brought in an RV as a green room, and it was stacked from fucking floor to ceiling. And I don't know where you come from, but where I come from, that's called goals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
free.
Challenge fucking accepted.
Yeah.
And we drank all night long, and things got a little sideways that night. And I was like, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this to Candace. I don't want to do this, man.
No.
I don't want to act like this. And so I stopped. And then the rodeo happened. And that night at the rodeo, I remember taking 2 drinks. I don't remember anything after that. I was definitely drinking after that. There's plenty of video going around, but I don't remember anything after the first 2 drinks at all.
Really?
And I went fucking ham, bro. And apparently I came to in the old Astroworld parking, but it's now a parking lot, old Astroworld, trying to find my truck, carrying around my equipment. I went to the hotel. I told Candace I wasn't going to drive. I fucking drove to the hotel. I pass out when I get to the hotel. So she's freaking the fuck out thinking, because some stupid ass fucking girl tagged me in a picture. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I know.
And then, so now Candace can't get in touch with me. I'm asleep at the fucking hotel. She's, who knows what she's thinking is going on.
Her imagination's running wild.
For sure. And man, I that next day, dude, I was just like, that's it. Like that right there. That's the straw.
It's okay to not want to live like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to explain that to anybody.
And that's really what it is. I don't want to it's not that I was doing it all the time. I don't want those times to happen anymore.
Yeah.
At all.
I can understand that. I don't like causing anybody else fear or concern.
Right.
Or you talk about your grandpa did that day out of fear. You know what I mean? Like, and I just don't want to be the person responsible for people feeling that way,
Yeah.
And that's what kind of got, like, especially this last little trip. I just, that night in Nashville, I was like, oh, bro. And I had my buddy with me who I trust and I know has my back and, that kind of stuff. And I got a little enamored with people recognizing me, and that was a good feeling. I spent a lot of years not being recognized for the work I was doing. So now this other thing is happening. It's easy to get a little seduced by that. You know what I mean? Dude. Like, oh yeah, you do know? Yeah, let's take a picture.
It's definitely.
Oh, you're buying me a drink? Or I was like, that's what I told Slade. I was like, I got to learn to say no to free drinks.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, I've been so poor and broke all. Somebody's like, hey, you want this $40 gun? You bet your ass I do. Go ahead and line another one up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I did do better this run. Like, people often gift me whiskey and stuff like that. And I was just like, all right, put it in the suitcase. Take it home, enjoy it at the house. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Especially when they know that's part of your brand as well. You talk about whiskey a lot, and you're on the Whiskey Brothers podcast.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same way. There were so many jokes about Jameson in our set back in the cover days where it was like, you would look down and there's 20 shots of fucking Jameson on the stage. And then 3 songs later, you look down and there's 0 shots of Jameson left on stage. People don't, I call them civilians. They don't realize what we can do when you're full swing in that entertainment industry. Like there's not a lot of people that are going to be able to hang with us drinking.
No, but it's because it was our job at some point,
Right.
I was proud of myself because when we were in Africa with Slade, one of the nights everybody was tired and wanted to go back to the room. I sat at the bar with a bunch of Marines drinking, and I hurt these boys. You know what I mean? These are Marines, active combat Marines, and they're like, "All right, bro, it's time to call it." you know, and they're like falling down drunk, and I'm like, "All right, well, I'm gonna walk back to my container and." Man, I wonder if I still got that little bottle in my suitcase, or whatever.
And nothing's worse than being fucking like lit in a town like you're not your hometown.
Yeah,
that's like That's I was in Washington one time. We were in Olympia, and I was hanging out with one of my best friends at the time was SF, Special Forces up there. And he took me out with a bunch of SF guys, and we got fucking tanked. Well, they all got so fucked up, they couldn't, that was it.
They couldn't function, yeah.
So I'm driving. I have my car, or I'm driving. I'm fucked up. Have no idea where I'm at. I'm in a city that I don't, finally I just pull over, and I'm just like, I'm going to stay here until I can get my wits about me. Being fucked up in a city that
Strange
you're not, or like in New Orleans, you're fucked up in New Orleans, and then you separated from your group because they're doing cocaine and you don't want to do it. And next thing you know, you get 2 blocks off Bourbon Street and you're like, oh fuck. Like,
I don't have the right uniform for this.
I probably should not be here right now. Yeah, being fucked up in a weird city is tough.
Yeah, I had to run. So me and my buddy Chris Shaw were playing New Orleans together. We were playing casino there, and we were staying in a house, like a bed and breakfast type thing on Magazine Street, right? And we got carried away at this casino, and there's free booze, all that kind of stuff. And then we couldn't get an Uber. I think it's pre-Uber, and we couldn't get a cab or whatever. And we were just like, well, screw it. We're like 2 miles from where we're staying. We'll just walk over there. And then we like cut through this neighborhood, and these dudes, like, all of a sudden one end of the street was full of dudes, and this way over here was full of dudes, and they were coming our way. And it's the last time I ran. Right. This is the last time I remember running. And I ran my fat ass. I ran until I thought my heart was going to blow out of my chest. And I remember I had this big old full like duster, full coat. It was like wintertime. And Chris could have been in the Olympics. Like, he's a hell of a runner, He's tall, gangly, and he's gone. Just all I see is back of his feet. And I'm like, well, I ain't getting left here, and here I go, And I get on a Magazine Street, I'm just out of breath, and I'm like, it's well lit, and I'm like, okay, so they're not going to probably come over here, I'll just, I was in their area where I could get screwed up.
Yeah.
Now I'm back over here in the area where I'm supposed to be, and I could see the little place we're staying, and I was trying to get my breath back, and I heard a voice out of the bushes. Chris is from Indianapolis, and he hadn't spent much time in New Orleans at the time, and I hear this voice out of the bushes, are they gone? And I was like, yo, where'd you go, bro? You were gone.
They probably just want to make sure y'all aren't lost and give you directions.
Yeah, I'm sure, offer me a cup of tea and,
scratch your back. Yeah. That's it. Not a big deal. That's, man, that it gets scary for sure. Like what I used to hate is I would play on the other side of Houston, like the Clear Lake area, and I would have a trailer. And, anytime you pull a trailer, the odds of you having a flat tire are pretty good, man. And I was the biggest fear for me was like to break down on 45 somewhere between Clear Lake and here, because you got to go through South Houston, you got to go through Greens Point, you got to go through some pretty shady areas, and I was always worried about that. I mean, luckily it never happened. The only time it happened was during the daytime, so it wasn't a big deal. But the odds are nothing's going to happen.
There's been a big discussion recently about small towns.
Oh,
and I've had so much more violent shit happen to me in little dive redneck towns than I have anywhere else.
Yeah, well, that's because that's where you're from. That's
yeah. You know what I mean? Like meth heads and stuff like that. And when I was doing that show in Memphis and I was advertising for it, I realized like half of my fan base is terrified of Memphis. Because they're like, oh, I hope you survive Memphis. Like, have you been to Memphis? It's actually pretty low key and chill. You stay on Union Street. You don't leave crap in your car and don't own a Kia, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like every place has its dangerous, you know what I mean? Like there's places in Houston you can go get your head caved in.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, hot take here. And this might piss some people off, but Americans are fucking pussies. Let's be real about it. We're a bunch of fucking sissies. I was talking to BC about this. We're scared of fucking everything.
Oh, fear-driven.
We are so scared. We're scared of, when I was a kid, needles or razor blades in your chocolate.
Yeah.
Or there was a big thing at one point, needles in the gas cat. Remember that one? They're like needles filled with AIDS in the fucking gas thing. Or you can go to Jamaica, but don't leave the resort. You can go to blah 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 blah, but don't do this. You can go. Here's the odds are nothing is going to happen to you.
But if it does, being afraid of it's not going to change it.
That too.
I've had some violent stuff happen to me. Yeah. Some very violent things. I've been attacked. I've been beat down by a group of people. I've been through these situations. Been stabbed once. Stabbed twice, but one time by somebody who didn't know me. One of them had a past, to be honest. I kind of had it coming.
All right. Well, hot takes.
Yeah, but it's this constant fear of being afraid to do. There was the same way about Nashville. Oh, you're going to Nashville. I'm in the hipster part of Nashville. It's just white people with thick black rimmed glasses. Nobody's going to get you.
Nobody's going to get. Yeah, I did the trip to Delaware last year, and I went through. There's just so many things that are bullshit. That's really what my main thing is there's so many things that are bullshit that we're being told
all the time.
I was told, hey, get you a bunch of gas cans and fill up here, because at the time it was $4.69 a gallon here in Houston. Mm-hmm. Get you some gas cans, because when you get up north, man, it's gonna be $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a gallon. Dude, never on that whole fucking trip from here, Kentucky, Tennessee, Delaware, Baltimore, back through DC, all the way down. The most I paid was $4.89 a fucking gallon. Mm. I went to DC. On Juneteenth. I guess that's a Texas thing, but still, not a single fucking protester, not a single march. Nothing was going on.
My father-in-law, blessed rest in peace. He was a wonderful human being. He was a cowboy, like a bull rider. And everything. But when he was a kid growing up in Houston, his birthday is June 19th. And he said, I just used to think black folks loved me. That they were so excited I was born, because I would be walking down the street, there would be fireworks and barbecues and stuff. He said, it wasn't until I was a teenager I was like, oh, this ain't about me.
Yeah. My birthday's on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. January 17th. I think that's his birthday, but it always falls right in there. And I used to hate it because I would always want to go to the casinos for my birthday. And you would go, but you couldn't even get a fucking room.
Oh,
because
really?
Everybody's.
Is that like a big casino holiday?
I mean, I just know there's a lot of people celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day there.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What a weird.
Yeah.
How did that start? That's a weird thing, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
We love this guy that stood for freedom and equality. Here's my money.
Yeah, well. I think if you stand for freedom, then you stand for freedom all the way around.
Yeah.
And so.
I stand for freedom with consequences.
Yeah.
That's what it means to me. That was something my dad actually said a lot. My dad said, oh, you have freedom of speech, but you also have freedom to accept the consequences for whatever you say. Yeah. And that's the way it's always been bull to me. I'm not a, even though there's times that I'm not happy with the decisions that my country makes as far as warfare and what they do, I go and support the military.
Oh.
I'm not a flag burner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care if somebody burns a flag. Don't bother me. I'm not symbol-minded. I'm not all wrapped up in that. But,
Same.
If some Marine just off a hitch gets a little hot and decides to whoop your ass over it, well, I mean, he's going to have to deal with the law after that. But, you're all going to have to deal with the consequences of the crap you're doing. You know, I just don't. I think you, absolutely. Yeah, you're free to go kill somebody if they piss you off, but you're also free to deal with what comes as a result of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But that, I don't know, man. I am so fucking burnt out from the left and the right. I just can't.
Division. I'm sick of the division. I posted what I thought was a harmless article the other day.
Nothing's harmless on the internet.
That I thought it was just an example of somebody doing a good thing. And because of that person's politics, the people just showed up and just angry and mad and calling me names. And I just get rid of people like that. Just block, delete, delete,
so
block, delete.
It's
I'm not
so
going to
bad
do this with you.
It's so bad. It's starting to affect things that doesn't even, like, last Friday night I was playing a gig and this guy comes up to me and goes, hey man, play that new Jason Aldean song. And I said, man, I haven't learned it. I don't know it yet. He's like, well, that's fucking horse shit. He's like, you played that fucking libtard Tyler Childers a couple songs ago. So you're telling me you'll learn Tyler Childers and Jason Isbell, but you won't learn Jason Aldean? And I was just like, see, this.
Well, the reason I learned their songs is they were good.
Well, that was pretty much my response. I did a TikTok about it that you saw it. Yeah.
I learned songs that are good.
Yeah.
They're really well written, well crafted songs. That's what I'm into.
That's the part that pisses me off the most.
Yeah.
Fucking
going viral for that piece of crap.
The 60s had Dylan. The 70s had Springsteen. You know, the 80s had
we got
whatever. The 90s had Rage Against the Machine. We got fucking Jason Aldean.
We got catalog music.
Like, Jesus Christ. It's such a shitty song.
I thought it was so funny because I know, everybody's like, oh, he's a racist, da-da-da-da-da, which I don't really actually believe that. I believe 100% he's a dude that's letting other people run his career while he makes money.
He's playing to his base.
And he doesn't have a clue. He didn't have a clue about any of that. And I really, because I remember there was like a couple days after it was all happening, he come out and he's like, well, I'll guarantee you every one of those scenes was shot in America. And then the director came out and was like, yeah, none of that footage is from America. And
oh, really?
I just pictured
That's
Jason
funny.
Aldean sitting in his house, talking to his girl or whatever, like, get that damn video guy on the phone. He's making me look like an asshole right now.
Well, I think he's catching more shit because of who he's married to.
Oh, I didn't know he was married.
Yeah, so he's married to the girl who was like way pro, like she's super, super hardcore right-wing pro-Trump. Like, she's talking shit about Maren Morris and all that all the time. They call her, she actually wears a shirt all the time that says Insurrection Barbie because she's like, she was like not part of the January 6th, whatever. Something along those lines. And so a lot of the fallout from this is because of who he's married to.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't even know any of that.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't know. My thing is like everybody's all worked up and this song goes viral and it's a piece of crap. It's not.
It's such a shitty song.
It's just pandering. It's more of that dirt road, dick sucking pandering. Just drivel. It's just drivel.
Yeah.
It's not good music. You know.
Yeah. If you want a song to really hang your hat on, that's around that same concept, is "Ballad of a Southern Man" by Whiskey Myers.
Yeah,
that's
a killer jam.
Like that's what he's saying. I say Merry Christmas, not Happy Holidays. Like he's talking about
how he feels,
feels that he grew up. Like that's just something you don't understand, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so, man, I think labels, the way they're tossed around, I know that when I was a kid, I never ever heard the word anxiety. Like rarely would I hear the word anxiety. And now with this younger generation, I hear it all the time. And it's like, okay, is it really anxiety or are you just stressed? Like what is the situation? Same thing with racism. Like, okay, racism where I'm from, like to be a true racist where I'm from is way different than the definition of these guys calling people racist all the time. Like where I'm from, no, racism, you didn't hint at it. It was like you straight up hated anyone that was different than you. Yeah. Anyone that was not white, male, Christian, you fucking hated them. You wanted them dead. Not, I'm going to release a song called Try That in a Small,
I was exposed to that. And I think there's different levels of it. I think there's systemic. I think there's paternal. I think there's different ways. For example, when we were hanging out in Louisville, we were hanging out with a dude. And he was one of these kind of like white dudes that grew up around some black folks in one region.
Yeah.
But he's one of these dudes that's decided after he gets drunk that he can just talk to all black folks the way he grew up talking to these black folks he grew up with.
Right.
Which is in itself another form. And it's like, and I'm like, first of all, bro, you're a whole ass problem. Yeah. You're going to get our ass whipped in Louisville. So I need you to bring it down. I need you to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then at some point, I'm just like, okay, you're going to hang yourself. I'm not going to be here for it. But I've tried to correct you. I've tried to ask you to pump the brake, to chill out a little bit. So I think there's different levels. I think there's different ways that people can be diminutive towards other people or people that are different from them. And some of it's kind of stupid. Yeah,
but as well as I do, if you go on a witch hunt, you're going to find a witch.
Yeah, and I've been exposed to what you're talking about. Like I grew up around that in East Texas where just outright, I had an uncle that had decided the black people down the road were responsible for every problem he had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's the way it sounded based on the way he spoke about them. And I remember even as a kid that kind of made me like, what did they do to you? do you even know them? You know what I mean? Like, why are you so mad at these folks that live down the road? You know, you've got 7 cars on blocks. Maybe.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had a friend of ours named Michelle that was a friend of my cousin's that would come. She was a black girl, and you know, she was probably in her early 20s, and she would come hang out with us, and we loved her, like family, but we would call her N-word Michelle. That's what we would fucking call her. God. That's what we would call her.
Well, I never had anything like that.
No, I'm not even kidding. It was and she, you know, she acted like she loved it and she was part of the family and it was all fucking fun and games. And I just look back on that and I'm like, holy fuck.
Your whole soul cringe.
Like that is just that. And that's also another problem. You know, the problem is you got a lot of these white folks that live in small towns that have a black person that maybe lives on their property or maybe and yeah, he's going to put up with a certain level of your bullshit. That doesn't mean he supports it. You know, he's probably laying in bed at night fucking with a voodoo doll trying to figure out ways to make you have a fucking heart attack in your sleep.
Well, at the very least, he doesn't like you as much as you think he does.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's that level I'm talking about. That kind of like, there's so much of that built into society that I think people don't understand that. You see, I see white dudes get worked up all the time about the term white privilege. Like, oh, I grew up poor. Nobody handed me nothing. Yeah, but you still had some ups, and you just didn't realize it. You don't realize it because you're either too dumb to see it or you're being willfully ignorant. You don't want to see it. But you had one hand up. There was one hand up always there to, you know, give you a sporting chance. I just didn't realize I was one of those people that I was like, I grew up poor and I grew up in a trailer and I had no privilege. And then I realized I just wasted all my privilege not getting shot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Like I should have done more with it or whatever, you know. Like I didn't see it until it was actually one of the things that I remember really happening that kind of turned the way I looked at some of that was my license was suspended for a period of time. And I was doing this big job out in the country, out in Magnolia. And I had to drive down this certain highway in Magnolia every day. And there was this cop down there fundraising and my tags were out. And he would pull me over and give me the what for and tell me I got to get my tags. And what's wrong with your license, you know, and then send me on my way. Yeah. And then the dude, one of the guys that worked for me was a Mexican dude.
Got pulled over.
Named George. And he pulls him over one day and his tags are out. Next thing I know, George is in cuffs going to jail and cars being towed. And I'm like, bro. Yeah. How many times have you let me go now, you know, from being on the same road? I know that's not everybody's experience. I'm just saying that is one experience that kind of showed me like, oh, you have kind of... You've had a hand up, bro.
Well, let me tell you this. I lived in Splendora, Texas from the time I was born to the time I was probably 20, 21. And for about 4 years, I drove the entire length of 59. So I drove through Patton Village and New Caney and all that. And I'm telling you right now, every single time that I saw a car that was pulled over between Splendora and New Caney, it was a black family, and they were always getting their shit searched. Now, I'm not saying that those cops were racist. I'm not saying that those black families were innocent. I mean, they could have all been fucking carrying crack. I don't know, but it's just really funny to me that growing up, but we're not where we were in the 60s.
No, absolutely.
And I think that's one of the big problems. We have to recognize where we are versus where we were even 20 years ago.
Well, what I'm tired of right now, especially, is just the name calling and the division. Yeah. And, you support, this dude told me, you support Taylor. She's liberal trash, woke liberal. That's what do you call it? Woke liberal trash. And so are you. And I'm like, I don't remember when being decent to people became woke. Right. I don't know what happened there or but I'm nice to gay people and I treat them the same way that I treat my straight friends. And so I'm woke now. Yeah. But I just don't remember when human decency became being woke. I don't get preachy with people. I don't, there's certain things I don't allow around me. I'm not going to allow people to be ugly and hateful to other people around me. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to put up with it. And you're not going to be a welcome part of whatever I'm doing. And if I see somebody mistreat somebody, I'm going to say something, but I don't know when that became being woke. You know what I mean? I'm not out there spouting my political views. In fact, I usually try to avoid it at all cost. I was in Africa when the Bud Light thing happened, right? I didn't know anything about it. We were dealing with our own shit. You know what I mean? Africa can be distracting.
Yeah, well,
and it came back, and all these dudes were making Bud Light jokes on my page. I was like, I don't get it. Did Bud Light drinkers not know they were stupid? like I don't know. Did y'all not know that was crappy beer?
Yeah,
I didn't know what it was about, and so when I found out what it was about, I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. You guys are all mad at this company. Okay, get it. Just don't buy their crap. Just vote with your dollar. That's what I do. I don't spend money at people I don't want to spend money with.
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
They did that. I mean, there was also a lot of stupid jokes about it too. And Kid Rock fucking shooting it up with a machine gun and shit. It's really stupid. But
when did Kid Rock become the moral guidance standpoint of this country?
When Trump got elected. Yeah.
This derelict dirtbag.
Fucking, yeah. I don't understand it either.
I wouldn't trust Kid Rock alone in a room with my teenager. But why would I listen to him about anything else?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know a lot of people that know him personally, and I hear he's a fantastic guy. I hear he's a super cool dude. I hear he's just down to earth and one of the coolest. But
great. You look like a dirtbag, and you act like a dirtbag in public.
But I know, he probably has a couple STDs that are permanent. He's definitely like white trash for sure. I don't understand the right on a lot of things. I don't understand the love for Trump. I mean, I do understand the love for Trump from a political standpoint, here's a guy that is not talking like the other guys.
It's populist rhetoric. Right. It always works.
But I
works
get that.
No matter who does it.
Yeah, I understand that. But I just can't get I don't understand how you can tell me with one sentence that you're pro family and you're pro this and you're Christian and you have all of these small town values, but yet you're gonna like become a full-fledged fucking fan. Like you idolize the guy like he's Jesus Christ. A guy that's lived in New York his entire fucking life, a guy who's been part of politics for the last 50 fucking years, who has been on both sides, who has fucking given money to every goddamn political party there is.
Who has spent his life bankrupting contractors.
Yeah, just like
screwing people out of money. That's the stuff that gets me.
But the problem is I also can't understand the other side. I cannot wrap my fucking head around Joe Biden and who supports him. I can't wrap my hand around Hillary Clinton and who supports him. God. I can't wrap my head around Bernie Sanders and who supports him. I just cannot wrap my hand around
I will say this about Bernie. I was impressed with Bernie because I think Bernie actually believes whatever he's saying. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't agree with it all, but I will say Bernie struck me very much. So there was a guy I was a big fan of when I did care about politics named Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Ron Paul, I thought, was sincere and honest and was really looking for ways to solve problems. And I felt that same way about Bernie, too. But in the same thread, I was like, well, you'll never get elected.
Yeah.
You ain't got a sporting chance, bro. Your own party's going to take you down. And they did.
Well, the problem we're seeing right now is Slade and I talked a lot about this. I just don't know. I don't know where the out is. I don't know how we get out of this where we're at right now. I just
there's no way out.
Yeah, like to me, like I started listening to somebody like Bobby Kennedy Jr. I started listening to him, and he's like, okay, this guy makes a lot of sense. But same thing, there's no way he's ever going to get fucking elected because he's not Democrat enough to be a Democrat. You know what I mean?
I don't trust none of them.
Yeah, I don't either.
Anybody that wants the job of leading other men is usually the worst person equipped to do the job.
Well,
I used to think we need to go just take the 5 smartest people in the United States and put them in a room with a couple Navy SEALs at gunpoint and be like, all right, so you're going to be president for the next 2 years. If you say no, I'm going to shoot you.
Yeah.
And then it's your turn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the idiocracy. We're just going to make you do the job because the people that want to do the job are the absolute worst choices for the job every time.
Yeah, well, but that's also our fault. Like we let it get there.
Well, it's become cult of personality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I couldn't stand, even though I'm a veer, I like to think of myself as right in the middle or what I think of as common sense. But I couldn't see supporting somebody. I was really surprised to see the left supporting a team of two people who are both very pro-police, have put so many people in private prisons and responsible for that. Like, I wouldn't support her for nothing, man. How many kids have spent their lives in prison on a prison for profit program because of that woman?
Because that's the problem. The American people do not focus on what actual fucking matters. They're too worried about what matters. You know, here's the deal. I support the trans movement. Let's just get this out there. I support it. I fully support it. If you're over the age of 18 and you want to fucking do whatever you want to do, I support you 100%. And I'll love you for it. Like, I will love you. If you're one of my friends, I will love you. I will not love you because you did this. But let's face it. That is such a small fucking issue. That situation is a small issue to where we are as an American people. Same thing with go on the right and everything we're talking about with abortion and fucking gun rights. Like, to me, and I'm a huge Second Amendment supporter. You know, I own guns, but to me, those issues are not what's causing the fuckery that we have right now.
That's literally what I thought the other day. That dude called me woke liberal trash. I was like, well, I got more guns than any other woke liberal trash, you know.
Right. But that's because most people, I feel, are right here. They lean a little left, lean a little right. You know,
I know so many people. This is me and Slade actually talked about this one night. The internet is like, social media is like open mic without a light. And the people you hear are the loudest screaming nut jobs. So the people that come on your page and say all that stuff, I told you, I got blocked. I lost about 1,000 followers in a day. Right. And I was like, oh, and it makes you feel some kind of way. You're like, oh, crap. You know, I'm not trying to upset people. But then at the same time gained, 4,000. I'm like, okay, this was just a day where some things happened and some people got called out. But it's these loud, angry people. And I know people from both sides of the fence that are just irrational, angry, shouting match, name calling. And there's no conversation to be had there. There's nothing to be solved there. But I know so many people are just normal, decent people, just have their jobs. They're trying to raise their kids and keep their kids safe. And they may have voted for Biden or they may have voted for Trump, but they're not maniacal about any of it. They just go with whatever seems closest to their values.
But there's the problem. That's the rub. The rub is if you're here and you lean a little left or you lean a little right, okay, and right now, the only thing coming out of anybody is this far right, far left rhetoric, right? That's all you get out of mainstream media. That's all you get out of your politicians. I mean, none of the politicians are going to get up and talk about the price of a loaf of bread right now. No. They're going to get up and talk about transgender rights.
The trigger. They're going to talk about the triggers. Right. They're trying to trigger you into having an emotion to feel some kind of way.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to talk about the price of bread. They're not going to talk about how do we keep our veterans from living on the streets and not having health care. These people that went and destroyed their bodies to protect whatever it is we're doing, right? They're not going to talk about any of that. They're not going to talk about how they lost millions of dollars in the Ukraine, but they can't feed people in our own country or provide them health care.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk about any of that.
Yeah, you're talking about a group of people that told us there was not enough money to help the American people live through a pandemic, but then a year later give trillions of dollars to – it's crazy.
I just lost.
But the problem is –
the IRS came after me one time. They took my passport away, made me a prisoner, basically, very draconian, because they made a $58,000 mistake on one of my tax returns and decided I owed them $58,000. $58,000.
Yeah.
The government just lost $8 million the other day, and everybody just kind of shrugs their shoulders like, it happens.
And you have no recourse for it. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, but here's the fucking problem. If you're one of these normal people, right, which I think 80% of this country is, you may not agree with the gay lifestyle, but you're fucking fine with it.
But you're not mean to people.
You're not mean to people.
You
may not want to actually own a gun, but you're not trying to take anybody's guns away or whatever. You're right down the middle. But the problem is now you've got to choose a side. You've got to. Right now, the way we're currently laid out with everything, you have to choose a side.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, with me being a country musician and me, making my money.
Oh, I deal with the same thing.
Right. It's like, okay, so
I refuse to choose a side.
Okay, well, but guess what? Until someone comes out that is a fucking normal, independent,
it's going to be a wait.
It's going to be a wait. And that's why we're just getting worse and worse and worse. But here's the problem. We're getting to the point now where it's going to get unsustainable for the 80%. The 80%, we cannot keep sustaining what we're doing right now. We can't. You can't keep doing it. You can't keep paying people fucking cat food, but charging them for fucking porterhouse steaks all the time.
Yeah.
Everything you do now is you can't do anything. At least back in the day when you didn't have any fucking money, you can go to the grocery store and you can buy a couple cans of tuna. You know what I mean? You can live a couple days or a few days off that can of tuna. Now, you can't. Now, so how does the normal family with an average of $40,000 a year, how do they fucking function, man? Like,
bro, I'm trying to figure it out. My light bill was $560 last month.
My car insurance just went up 200 something fucking dollars.
Oh, dude, mine did.
And I have no reason.
No tickets, no nothing.
Yeah.
They told me. In fact, I got the girl on the phone. I called Geico. It was Geico. Fuck Geico. And I got Geico on the phone and I was like, hey, it was a $200, exactly a $200 bump on my insurance. And I was like, what is this for? And the girl goes, oh, it's for inflation.
Yeah.
And I go, what does that mean? And she goes, well, inflation. And I go, no, I know what inflation is. I'm asking you, what got inflated that changed the price of my insurance? Did your phone calls get more expensive? Did they give you a raise? And when I said, did they give you a raise? She got real quiet. She goes, I just know it's inflation.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't know anything. You've just been told
to say that. But we don't have a recourse right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's the fucking problem. The problem is, like, if I don't file my fucking tax, if I'm like, fuck you, government. Like, you literally took my job away from me for 6 months. And then now you're gonna bitch because I owe you fucking taxes. Like, fuck you. You give my money away for bullshit.
Mm.
Like, but I'm gonna go to jail. Like, that's gonna put me in jail.
Yeah. They're gonna show up at your house with guns and take your money.
Yeah. And so there's no recourse right now for anybody, man. Yeah, you can get on the streets and you can march and you can fucking loot and you can do all this shit. But obviously that's not gonna change anything. Nah. Like, nothing's gonna fucking change anything.
The only thing that's gonna change anything, and it's gonna come. And it always has. Historically, it has. When things become unbearable and unlivable, massive non-compliance occurs.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that ever changes anything. It happened up in Canada when they were trying to enact all the gun laws and stuff in Canada. And all these people in the mountains were like, okay, sure, I don't have any guns anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that massive non-compliance is the only thing that ever changes anything. And at some point,
either that or another country comes in and fucking.
Yeah, I don't even see that. But at some point, you're going to see in this country, people just go, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it anymore.
That's where I'm at.
And it's where a lot of people, I think, feel in their heart that they're coming to. It's just getting to a point where it's really hard.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate, two human beings, to be able to chase our dreams and do what we're doing.
Right.
But we also know it's not very profitable. There's a lot of money in it.
Nope.
You know what I mean? I'm borrowing somebody's car right now because I need to buy a car, but I just don't have the money to right now. And I'm working on opportunities I think are going to help me do that. But it's at some point, there's going to come a point where people just lay down these things and like, okay, no.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to happen during the pandemic.
But
it did a little bit.
The problem is that it's got to be the average Joe that does it, though.
Yeah. I'm not talking about marching on the Capitol or anything like that. I'm talking about when everybody in your neighborhood just says, no, we're not paying HOA fees anymore. Yeah. Y'all aren't doing crap and you're not giving us our money's worth. And I'm not paying you $900 a month to rent my house that I own.
Or what we need some independent to come out of nowhere. Somebody, I don't know, like Joe Rogan, or The Rock or some fucking crazy person. Like one of those guys that we know is like a level-headed individual. We may not agree with everything they have to say, but they're level-headed and they approach things from a common sense perspective instead of this fucking just loud rhetoric.
There's so many people I enjoy talking to. You and me don't agree on everything, but we can always talk and BS and you know what I mean? Get by it. It's never ugly or anything like that. And I have friends that believe vastly different things than me.
The same.
And we still chit chat and go. We don't talk a lot about politics or whatever. I just, it's one of those things where it's going to have to be something that triggers all those kind of people.
Yeah.
The people who don't get into the people who aren't having yelling matches on the internet and stuff. Yeah. It's like you said, it's the average Joe.
I think that's what's happening now. I really do. Because it's just, you got families that have done, there are families that are just normal average Joe families that have done a family vacation every summer to a certain spot. And this year they couldn't go because they can't fucking afford it.
Yeah. They couldn't even buy the gas to get there.
Right.
I had a dude come at me after the show the other night, and he was a Marine. And I don't really do anything political in my show, but I think he follows me on Facebook, and he's made some inferences or whatever about stuff I've said. And he said, man, he said, I don't really agree with all your politics. And I was like, what politics?
Yeah.
I go, okay, that's a weird way to start a conversation. He goes, but he said, the fact that you go and support the military and do the things you do, you put your money where your mouth is. And I respect the fuck out of that. Yeah. And I was like, all right, man, and then he bought a shirt and some merch from me and stuff. And I was like, so this is how grown-ups have a conversation.
Right. Yeah. I had some guy come at me about my TikTok the other day where I was like, I don't care whose artists think whatever. And
you got me in trouble.
Yeah. Somebody came at me
and I got inspired, thought I was funny. And
somebody came at me and they said something like, yeah, but you don't have any values. You don't stand for anything. And I'm like, I don't have any
values. I stand for plenty,
bro. Yeah. I have values. I just don't get on the internet and fucking balk about them. I do first responders benefits all the time. I do.
Cross me though. Yeah. And you'll see what my values are.
Like I do stuff all the time. I don't buy, again, we'll get off this subject because we could talk about it forever, but like, I just don't buy into the far right or the far left on anything. I just don't.
Well, it's really, you said it earlier when you were talking about religion. I don't buy into dogmatic belief about anything. I don't think anybody's right about everything.
Right. There's no person that's right about everything, and there's no person that's wrong.
There's a lot of people have some great ideas and then some not so good ideas, but I can't do party politics down the line, like, because I vote this way, I'm going to do everything this way. I just can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't do that, man.
Same here.
It just isn't my thing, Yeah.
There's
things I believe you're both right about and things I believe you're both way wrong about. And I can't.
You got to look at it like baseball. Look at it like baseball.
I don't know baseball.
No matter how shitty the fucking team is,
I'm un-American, Jeff. I don't know baseball. Just woke liberal trash.
Yeah, there you go. Just no matter how bad the team is, every team wins 50 games. At least 50 games. And no matter how good the team, every team loses at least 50 games. So there's never not been a team not win 50. There's never not been a team not lose 50. Like, it's just the way it is. But, look at it that way. Like, there's no fucking way that somebody is wrong about every fucking thing that comes out of their mouth.
You know what? I hear, so this is what I hear, because a lot of times I'll share some of your music on my page or some artist I'm into at the time. And I shared some Jelly Roll stuff. And so, he's not country. And I'm so sick of all these guys. And I'm like, who are you? Who gets to decide that? Right? Or all the new country is garbage. No, it's not. No, because odds are, you're just not hearing the people worth a damn.
Yeah.
Because they're not the people getting pushed.
You're hearing
the marketing formula people are being pushed.
Yeah.
So it's not all crap. There's great. What's going on in neotrad bluegrass in the last 10 years has been amazing.
Yeah.
Benjamin Todd, some of these dudes are just out of their mind incredible. You know. You're seeing the big names. Yeah, but before Sturgill was a big name, he was doing some pretty wild music that nobody had ever thought of doing in bluegrass before, and it was incredible,
Yeah.
And there's people like that out there right now. There's people
all
like
over the
you.
place.
There's probably half a dozen artists here in Houston that are
for sure
putting out great, incredible, well thought out music. I was thinking about it because people were arguing about that song, and not to get in the political side of it, but the song formula structure is not good. And I heard one on the way here. I was listening to 93Q, and what was the song? Half of me wants a cold beer and the other half does too. I'm like, what is this dumb? Like, everything right now is, everything you're hearing, or I hear on the radio mostly, is either half a stolen Keith Whitley song or a beer commercial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
or
it's
a
like,
Yeti commercial or a fucking.
Like, this is terrible, bro.
Yeah.
But what happened to, that's how I got to Memphis, Tom T. Hall. What happened to these dudes, these poets and songwriters? Like, you have to, I commend you. One of the things that I think you do is really cool because you do that artist spotlight, but you were talking one time and you're like, sometimes at the beginning of the week, I go find the new music list and I just put my headphones on and I just listen to it
every day.
And so I've made myself start doing that when I work out. Like, I just go and find music I've never heard before, even if it's older or whatever.
Yeah, you're already fucking torturing yourself. You might as well torture yourself with shitty songs, too.
And there has been some of that. All right, not every Apple playlist is well curated. There's a lot of, you're going to have a, look, I turn into one of those old codgers when it comes to mumble rap. I'm like, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. I know kids loved it for whatever reason. I don't know if they were all on Xanax, but they loved it.
I think it's just the typical thing. There's types of people on this planet, right? There's the types of person that all they drink is Jack Daniels. Mm-hmm. I'm only going to drink Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels is the best whiskey there is. There's nothing better than Jack Daniels. I'm only going to drink Jack Daniels. And then when Jack Daniels comes out with a new flavor, I'm going to drink that. And when Jack Daniels comes out with a new fucking whatever the fuck, I'm going to drink that. That's what I'm going to drink. I'm a Jack Daniels fucking guy. Never, ever, ever, ever wanting to even remotely try any other whiskey out there. And you know as well as I know, there are whiskeys that blow Jack Daniels out the fucking water.
Yeah. There's a lot of amazing.
Same thing with beers. You know, there's people that go to the bar and they drink Bud Light no matter what, or Miller Lite no matter what.
They found their thing.
Right.
That's what they did.
But then there's other people, which are my kind of people, that are like, something new. Hey, what's that bottle right there? What's that bottle? I've never had that before. Pour me a glass of that. Well, it doesn't really, I don't give a fuck. Put it in here. I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
Right. And those are my people. Same thing with music, man. You got people that listen to the Bull no matter what. That's the station they listen to. They're not going to listen to anything else. That's what they're going to listen to. So whatever is force fed down their fucking brain is what's going to be the hot thing, because they listen to mainstream.
When I heard
radio.
People complaining about Jelly Roll's ascension in country music, like, how's he moving up? Why is he all of a sudden he's getting all this stuff and everything? I was like, because he showed up with songs. You know what I mean?
Because he's fucking real.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That is the thing that is so captivating about him. But Garth Brooks went through the same shit. Yeah. Garth Brooks, I remember when Rope in the Wind came out, the album with Shameless and those songs. Mm-hmm. I remember
he ain't country.
Everybody was
Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings' famous quote, like, he's country music going in the shitter. You know?
Everybody.
And nobody thought Waylon was country when he was younger.
Right.
I was really disappointed. I grew up listening to Travis Tritt's music and loved Travis Tritt. And when Travis Tritt went on his little rant about jelly and how it's not country, and I'm like, bro, you used to have a mullet and a rhinestone jumpsuit.
Right.
And everybody's like, this ain't country.
Yeah, when him and Marty Stewart were doing all those shows together back in the day, everybody was like, this ain't country.
Yeah. Like, pump the brakes, bro.
Yeah.
It's okay to get older and it's okay to get set in your ways about things, but don't forget where you come from. You know what I mean? Country music's been evolving for a long time.
And you're telling me that Jason Aldean's new song is more fucking country than Tyler Childers' new song? Like, that's where I run into the fucking shut the fuck up thing. Like, just shut up. Just shut the fuck up. You know, to me, the cool thing about country music is it's always been about the stories.
Yeah, man.
And now it's not. Now it's getting to the point where it's about the beat. And to me, if it's about the beat, it's hip hop.
It's pop, at least.
Pop.
Yeah.
It's you know,
and pop's okay. There's a lot of really well written pop music.
100% agree.
You know, but my thing. So one of my favorite things to do anymore. It's rare that because I often travel with other people and stuff like that. It's rare that I get a moment alone to just enjoy music anymore. So if I have a couple drinks in the evening and get on the porch, and it's that old time thing like my papa used to do. I crank up the police scanner and I crank up the radio, and I listen. And one of the things I really like is, I come from Appalachian people, bluegrass. You know, especially what's going on in the bluegrass movement now.
Yeah,
is so wildly interesting to me because it's like I always say it's proof that if you take enough poverty and oppression and a mass drug epidemic, and you mash it together, you're going to get some good music every time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's been the three ingredients for amazing music for a long time.
B.B. King, Elvis, NWA. Yeah.
You take poor people, addict them to drugs, and then just treat them like garbage, and somebody's going to write a song about it.
Yeah.
And it's so good every time when they do. You know, it's unfortunate that it takes that. I made the joke when I used to do a joke on stage when Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood got married. And I was like, I hate this. He's too happy now. He's thinking about Dr. Pepper and bullshit. I want another dance. Like, you know what I mean?
Like Eddie Murphy making kids movies. You're like, what the fuck is going on here?
Get back on stage, bro. Get unhappy.
Put that purple fucking leather jumpsuit back on and fucking tell us.
Piss some people off.
Yeah. It's funny. Who, right now, of the national guys that are touring and stuff, who's your favorite stand-up guy right now? Or girl?
The people that are live and that are touring right now.
Yeah, people that are current, that are a current thing.
There's really only one person that I watch, and he makes me laugh consistently. And it's so funny because I don't like clean comedy and clean comics, you know, as a rule usually. But this guy is so funny, you don't realize he's clean until you're done. But his name's Nate Bargatze. He's out of Nashville, Tennessee, and he's killing it. You know, he's got specials out, and he's mopping the floor with everybody. But his first special is one of the funniest things I ever watched in my life. Really? It just had me in tears. It's not my style of comedy. It's not what I do on stage, but it makes me laugh. It's something I like to watch, and you kind of get jaded. Especially when you're doing open mics and you're doing showcase and you see so much bad, hacky,
Same
overdone.
with music, bro.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So you get jaded. It gets hard to find things that tickle that thing that made you want to be a part of this to begin with.
Right.
But Nate's one of those guys. I watch Nate and I'm like, oh, I remember why I wanted to be a comic now, because dudes like this made me laugh. He's funny. He puts me in it. There's another guy. I know he got a bunch of flack about some stuff with Saturday Night Live, but Shane Gillis.
Yeah,
Shane Gillis his special made me laugh. I cried watching that special. It was so funny.
He's just funny too. I've watched some interviews and stuff.
I watched some of his podcasts and stuff. He's a really funny guy. That's about it. I'm not a big so I know a lot of people love Bill Burr. I don't have anything against Bill Burr. He just doesn't really make me laugh. He just seems kind of ranty, and it reminds me of George Carlin at the end of his career when he was just so bitter and I don't relate to it because I'm not that kind of person. I do relate to Nate because I'm an idiot. And he talks about that on stage, just doing dumb things and saying dumb things. And I'm like, oh, I 100% relate to that. That time when you're, when the person at McDonald's like, thanks for coming. You're like, you too. Oh, yeah. Then you think about that for 2 hours. Like, I'm an idiot. What? This poor bastard's at work.
Yeah. I like Bill Burr. I mean, I watch his specials. He's not one of my favorites, but my favorite stand-up comedian of all time, and I'm not a comic, so I don't have to fucking say the things that y'all have to say. Like, y'all have to say Pryor. You have to say Kennison. There's just some. I
get what you're saying. There
you'll have to say.
I get flack.
It's like me. Like, I have to say I like Merle Haggard. I have to say the Merle Haggard.
But you do like Merle Haggard. Yeah, he's fucking amazing.
100%.
Most prolific songwriter of the 21st century.
But my favorite stand-up comedian of all time is Louis C.K.
He's funny.
Louis
C.K. Louis C.K. did a joke that was so good that I threw out an entire premise that I was over. I don't use physical punishment with my kids. I don't hit my kids or whatever. And I was raised in a house where there's a lot of kid hitting.
Right.
Not
same
abuse. Not like I wasn't getting beat to death or anything like that. But I just grew up with people put hands on a kid real quick. You know what I mean? And it was a constant. The grandparents, dads, uncles, aunts,
neighbors.
I don't do it. I don't think it's particularly helpful, and I don't think it's particularly effective, especially if you have to do it all the time. It's clearly not effective. But I was trying to write a bit about it, and then Louis C.K. comes out and he does his bit, and I'm not going to, I would massacre it because I don't have his timing and everything. But basically, the crux of the bit was these are the only people in America you're allowed to hit, or these people at eighth of our size, and it doesn't teach them anything. Right? They're not going to grow up and be able to solve problems like you. If you're mad at your job and you go punch your boss, guess what? You got fired. You're probably going to jail.
Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
He said, so it's a dumb thing to teach them. It's a dumb problem-solving technique to teach them because it's not one they can use.
I think you should be able to have one shot.
One shot. One swing?
One fucking, just one instance in your kid's life where you just beat the fuck out of him.
Good Lord, Jeff.
and then that's it. Like you used it. Like kind of like challenges in football. You know, once you use it, you don't get any more. That's it. So, and the reason I say that, I know I'm joking, I'm being stupid.
Yeah.
Is because I think back to my grandpa when he fucking hit me with that cane and what that taught me. That right there taught me a valuable lesson.
I was very disrespectful to my mother one time when I was about 19 years old. I wasn't living with them, but I was visiting them in Louisiana. And I was feeling like an adult. I think I was probably 20. I was feeling like an adult. I had an adult job. I worked in the oil field, and I went out drinking with some friends after work, and I came in the house a little lit. And my mom, understandably, was not happy about it. And me and her, she was very good at pushing my buttons. She could push my buttons better than anybody. I mean, I love her, I miss her, but she would drive me crazy. We'd probably still be fighting if she was alive.
Same.
But that doesn't mean I miss her any less.
Same.
Me and her got into it, and I was rude and disrespectful to my mother. And I always say that's when my dad threw me out of the house, or he picked me up and threw me towards the door. And I got the impression, and I remember I walked out in the carport, and he was storming out behind me. And I just decided, you're not going to be right this time. And I turned around and cocked that fist back, and a truck hit me.
Yeah.
And I remember that moment, but he didn't take it any farther than that. It was just one good one. That's all it took.
Yeah.
I was spinning around looking for stuff to grab onto before I fell down. And then he sat out there with me until I kind of got my senses back. And I didn't want to say anything else. And then it was just very, all right, get in the house. Your mom was worried about you. You know, I don't want to talk about this again. But
right. And that's why I say the one-time thing. Listen, I don't think it's ever okay to lay your hands on your kid out of anger.
No, absolutely not.
You know, I think that by you taking out your anger on them, all you're doing is showing them that you're more powerful than them. That's it. There's
a lot of different ways.
Yeah, there is.
People hurt kids.
And not only that,
you know, there's some people, the way they talk to kids, destroy their self-esteem,
100%.
destroy their confidence, take away their power.
Yeah.
You meet people every day who are damaged beyond relief.
But also, what's the answer? Yeah. Like, we've got to find some sort of a fucking answer, because obviously the not doing it has its own problems that we're dealing with.
I have tried very hard, and I'm not saying it's 100%. It was something me and my wife spoke about before we had kids, but I knew what I had, and it didn't work. I still ended up on cocaine and drugs and jail and fights and bad relationships and stuff. So, you know, it didn't fix me. So I knew, okay, well, I've already been through this program and it was ineffective.
So I'm trying something different.
So I'm going to just try this other thing. And so we have always been very open. And there's times, like if your kid tries to walk the street, you got to snatch them off their feet and keep them from walking the street doing something stupid.
Yeah.
And you're going to holler sometimes. I try to holler less and talk more. But we have tried very hard. And I've got a 13 and 11-year-old. And we try very hard to reason with them and be rational with them and explain consequences to them and show them, you know, hey, I told you not to take that outside. It's going to get broke. Well, now it's broke and you don't have it. And you're upset. And I'm sorry you're so upset. I hate that you're feeling that way, but remember this because this is what happens, you know. Don't ever teach your kids to reason and be rational, though. Yeah. Because, oh my God, they're so much better at it than us. It's the wildest. I remember I was like talking to.
Because they're not all fucking damaged.
I was talking to my oldest. I was like, hey, it's time for bed. He was like, why? I was like, I don't know. It just is time for bed. I got to get up early. You don't have a job. Okay, well, this is getting hurtful. Can you just go to bed? You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to point out my flaws right now.
I think once you get our age, you're just, the thing about this world and life is it's hard. It's just difficult. Like, people that want to say it's not, then okay, for some reason you're living in an ivory tower. I don't know why, but no matter how much, I know people that have a lot of fucking money and they have tough lives. And I love people that have no fucking money and they have tough lives. I don't know of a single person that is just fucking skipping through fucking daisies.
No.
You know what I mean?
Especially not a parent of any type. I even parents that disagree with me and do, whatever. I get it, bro.
Yeah.
I get it, man. Being a parent has been the most difficult.
It's the toughest job there is.
And also at the same time, the most rewarding, amazing job 100%. I've ever had in my life.
Yep.
One of my children's neurodivergent, which is, they used to call it autism. And learning to communicate with him on his level has been a whole different thing. It's been a whole different trying to understand how he perceives the world and how it's vastly different from what I am. Right. So I have to try to put myself in his shoes and have to try to communicate better with him. And I have failed so much of it, but I'm getting better. You know what I mean? They say everybody has scars from their childhood. So no matter what I think I'm doing right now, I'm sure my kids are going to be screwed up.
Yeah. Well, that was my point earlier. Like we're all fucking broken just because life's so fucking hard.
Yeah.
But I'm
sure at some point my oldest could be like, how come you never put hands on me? Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
yeah, Dad, if you would have beat the shit out of me, I probably wouldn't have done that.
I don't, and people used to tell me, so I was a prison guard for a while in Louisiana. And the one thing I always hear, prison's full of kids that didn't get their ass whipped. Like, nope, that is not the case.
No, they're full of
prison is full of people that
got their ass
from every range of no ass whooping to the shit beat out of them. Prison's just full of people that did dumb things. You know what I mean? And some people that didn't do any dumb things, that just wrong place, wrong time, and got caught up in the system. That's a dumb thing. That's like, that does not ensure that your kid's going to be all right. Boxing your kid's ear every time he gets out of line doesn't ensure he's not going to grow up and do something stupid.
For sure.
It just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all fucked up. I think humans are fucked up.
I think more people now, on the same token, I think more people could benefit from a punch in the face.
Yeah.
I think there's too many people on the planet that have not been punched in the face.
I agree.
You know what I mean? They've just been allowed to blah, 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 bump them gums. And ain't nobody ever just went, I'm tired if you listen to you, and hit them in the face. I don't condone it. I don't want to go around hitting people in the face or anything like that or getting in fights.
Yeah.
But I have been punched in the face more times than I'm willing to admit on this podcast.
Yeah.
I've more fingers than I got.
I've had a few, that's for sure. I've done some punching.
I went, okay, all right. Yeah, I clearly was in the wrong there.
Yeah.
Like it makes me think before I speak.
Right.
At least it makes me go, is what I'm about to express hurtful to this person across the table from me? Is what I'm expressed? Those are the people, like, you'll just say something you like, and we know the internet's not a safe space, but say, just for instance, a friend gave me this bottle of bourbon, and it's my favorite kind of bourbon, and I'm super excited about this gift. And then somebody show up, that stuff's garbage.
Yeah.
You've never been punched in the face.
Yeah.
You've never been punched in the face. You just saw me express how much I love this thing or whatever, how happy I'm about it. The adult thing to do in that situation, especially if you've ever been punched in the face for being a jackass, is to go, well, it's not for me. I'm going to scroll on until I find something I like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just to say nothing. Just to, those three words.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
You know?
Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that gene. I don't have that trigger. I don't have that cutoff valve. I don't ever think before I speak. I just fucking say it. I just say it. I have a pretty good feeling that this podcast is going to get me in trouble at some point because I don't have a filter. I'm just going to say what the fuck's on my mind. But I think the big difference between somebody like me that just says what's on my mind or just does it, but it never comes from a place of malice. Right?
No, I 100% believe that about you. I remember I tried to film that sketch with you where I wanted you to be the big scary dude. And you're like, that's not really who I am.
Yeah.
And then I got to know you a little better. I was like, that was a dumb way to do that. Because it
was still funny.
It was funny, but it didn't. Out. It could have been a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Now I realize I'm a better writer now. I'm like, I could have made that 100 times better. That was so dumb. I wasted an opportunity doing this thing and tried to make him be this person he wasn't in the situation, and it just come off as cartoony and kind of dumb. I never believe that you speak out of malice.
I just don't. I mean, because I don't.
Unless you're talking about Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Well, the way I look at it is they fucked me first.
Yeah.
And so now I'm able to say whatever the fuck I want.
I just wanted to hear you bitch about Buc-ee's.
Fuck Buc-ee's. Fuck Buc-ee's. fuck that store, fuck Buc-ee's, fuck Whataburger. I will fucking alienate the whole goddamn state of Texas right now. Fuck Bluebell. Like
I'm not a Bluebell guy either. That's
they
weird.
fucking see. This is the part that fucking drives me up the wall.
The fan base.
Bluebell literally killed people.
Yeah, they
literally fucking killed people because they were having unsafe storage conditions, unsafe working conditions. They literally killed customers. Yeah. People who fucking bought their fucking shit died.
Yeah.
And everybody just turns their fucking
We got to
head.
support them. Everybody loves Bluebell. I'm like,
Budweiser gets bought by fucking China. They get bought by fucking China. But yet, oh, it's Texas. It's fucking Budweiser's Texas.
Yeah. I'm the same way about that stuff.
Whataburger got bought by somebody from fucking Chicago now. Yeah. Chicago. And and here we are. We're going to defend Whataburger even though, you can't.
The quality's going downhill and it's not the restaurant it once was.
Dude, the other day I fucking went in. So me and Candace were sitting in the room and we were like, I was like, man, I really want a strawberry shake. And I don't ever have cravings like that. But I was like, and she looks at me and she's like, you know what? I really kind of want a strawberry shake too. And Candace never does sweets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to run to Whataburger and get us a shake. It's like 10 o'clock at night, maybe 10:30. I get in the car. I get in line. The line's fucking forever long like it is at Whataburger all the time. So I wait. It's like 25 minutes before I can even make my order. And I get up to the order and I say, hey, I want 2 strawberry shakes. And they're sorry, we don't have any ice cream. Which we all know what that means, that they already cleaned the fucking ice cream machine. We know what that means. But I was like, I just wasted 25 fucking minutes sitting in this but now I can't get out of line.
No, you're stuck.
Because they have pillars all the way around where you can't get out. So then I had to now I'm not only am I not going to get my goddamn strawberry shake.
Yeah.
And I can't bring my girlfriend her strawberry shake, which may or may not have been a reason for me getting lucky that night. Yeah. So they've already impeded now. But now I got to sit in this line another 20 minutes to wait for everyone else to get what the fuck they want because I can't get out of this line.
Yeah. I would have been livid.
I didn't make the mistake I made with Buc-ee's. I didn't go live. I didn't trash Whataburger. Mm. I didn't do any of that shit because I lost like 400 followers the day I went live and bitched about Buc-ee's.
Isn't that funny though?
It's fucking.
Isn't it funny that people are so attached to material that's their identity?
Yeah.
I do the truck things, and lo and behold, I get this all the time. Why the hate for this? Like, I didn't hate anything. If it's in my video, I probably love it. I'm just making some jokes. You know what I mean? Jokes. Like, but these people get really worked up. They get upset. Dude, I had a guy, and this was just recently. He got mad. I did one about fishing lures, and it was just really silly, tongue-in-cheek. I was just talking about old fishing lures. And I thought it was like, oh, this is a toss-up, little positivity thing. It's not a big deal. I'm not being negative about anything. This dude got so worked up and come after me, and he was saying all kind of shit. And I was trying to calm him down and try to explain him like this
about a goddamn fishing lure.
Yeah, like this is a joke, bro. And he's like, I'm an ex-sheriff deputy and like all this stuff. And he's just saying all this. And I was like, all right, you're getting out of hand, bro. So I'm going to give you a chance to correct your behavior or I'm going to block you and get you off my page because I don't have to put up with this. You can have freedom of speech everywhere else, but not on my page.
Yeah.
This is my business. This is how I make my money. So you can get fucked. Yeah. Right?
See you later.
And I think I basically told him that. And I was a little rude. And he come back and said a bunch more hateful shit. And I just blocked the dude. Then he showed up on TikTok.
He found you.
And threatened me. Told me, he's like, I'm coming to see you in Nashville. I'm going to put an end to your ass. In print. And I was like, all right, screenshot of that. But I'm not a big call the police kind of guy. Yeah. Where I come from, you don't call the police. If you pronounce police like police, you don't call the police.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, I'm not a big proponent of that, so.
Handle it yourself.
But then it's like, dude, I'm pretty exposed.
Right.
I'm pretty vulnerable. Anybody can get to me. You know what I mean? My show schedule's public.
Yeah.
This guy could very well be just enough of a lunatic to show up in Nashville with a pistol in his pocket and shoot my ass. It's happened. Dimebag Darrell, you know what I mean? Like,
over a fucking fish.
John Lennon, you know what I mean? Over dumber things people have been. Yeah. So then I had Will Loden with me, and he's 6'5", 300 pounds. And I was like, when I'm on stage, here's a picture of the guy. If you see anybody that looks like this dude, I will bail you out. Pick him up and body slam him. Don't let him in the door. Shake him until the gun falls out of his pocket or whatever he's got planned, you know. And, of course, the guy was all talk. He didn't show up. But I was like, man, you were so worked up about this little thing that you thought it was okay to threaten somebody else's life over a joke. Like, we live in strange times, bro.
I'm telling you that's what I'm talking about.
The anonymity of the internet is a scary thing sometimes too. Yeah. You don't know what. I've also had the type of people that become too familiar too fast.
Yep.
And I have both had problems with that, especially women saying and doing things like, no. You're a whole ass problem. I don't want you to ever come to a show.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're some of these people that'll like tag me and start getting attached to me and like, okay, pump the brakes, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know you. Yeah. And what you know of me, what you see of me is just a very small fraction of the person I am. I have very real friends, people that I spend my time with. Just recently, when I was on my way back to Houston, somebody's like, when do you come back to Houston so we can all hang out? Like, no. You can come to a show.
Yeah.
But I'm not coming over your house. You're not coming over my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a fine line, man. That's one of my problems is I like to get to know everybody. I like to have conversations with everybody. Too. But Trent, I had Trent Cowie on here, and we talked a lot about that. And, you know, I love my fans.
I do too.
I do. I love them. I care about them. I recently just found out that one just passed away.
That's it.
And I didn't know them very well, but I just know that. But man, it literally, I love my fans, and I want to give them all of me I can. Right. I want to be able to have a conversation with them. You know, if you want to come do a meet and greet or whatever you want me, I want to do all those things. But man, there's just some of them. There are some of them that is just like, fuck. I see them walk in the room and I'm like, time's up. You know, that's just like that alarm goes off. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like, fuck, this is going to be a time suck. It's going to be energy drain or this girl's fucking psycho or.
I like to interact as much as I can.
The good news is.
The ones that are really hard for me because I do have a lot of empathy for people going through bad times. But, you know, there are some people, you and me spoke about this a long time ago. It was actually when all that stuff happened with my computer and I was kind of going through a rough time. And you said something like, I like the way you kind of just tucked your head down and figured out the problem and went on and talked to people until you figured out the problem or whatever. There are some people that are always going to be victims. Always. Their life's always going to be bad. There's always going to be bad stuff. I don't know if they court it. I don't know if they just have that mentality where they can't ever see the good in anything. And those are the people that sometimes, for me, are very draining. Yeah. Like, bro, everything can't be bad all the time. You have to find something you're happy about or something that you live for. You have to have something. You know what I mean? You can't. It can't be this bad. Even I know comics this way.
Yeah, I was that way for a lot of years.
That I think are funny, and I love to be on shows with them. But the green room, no, get me out of there, bro. You're going to make me go into a whole depression spiral because I'm going to be worried about your crap. I can't do that. That's too draining sometimes. And I think it probably is. I'm a very empathetic person. And so I kind of take that on my shoulder. And then I'm thinking about their crap instead of worrying about my own stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, that and then, you know, I don't know how much you do it, but I do so much for charity now. Like I do charity events. I'm constantly giving money in different ways, and it's like fuck, like, and then but the problem is then there's some people out there that expect it, like they'll hit me up and they're like, hey, we got this charity thing and we're going to do it, we really want you to play this time frame. And when I come back, be like, is there any pay, like what's the details? And they're like, well, no, it'll be for free. And so at that point, it's not about what you're going to do with the money. It's whether it makes sense for me if I can do it. If I go look at my calendar and I'm got a slow week that week, I can't do your free show on a Friday night. I'm sorry.
I got bills to pay.
I just can't. And so, but there's I don't know, man. There's just some people that just expect things.
Yeah, I've had that. I try to give my time when I can to things I believe in. And I try to push the things I believe. If I believe that somebody's genuinely be helpful, but then also I get a lot of these people like, hey, can you share my GoFundMe for my brother-in-law or whatever? And like, Bro, if I said yes to that, I'd do it 30 times a day and my page would be a fundraising page. You know what I mean? All my social media, and that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm out here working on my art, trying to create my thing.
You should his motherfuckers asking me to do an artist spotlight for them. Hey, when are you going to do my artist spotlight? What?
Who said I was?
What? Like this, you don't understand how this works. I'm doing this.
I got to delete an email I was writing you real quick.
It's like, I
didn't send that.
I'm doing these just for human beings that I like, and that I kind of admire or I respect and they pop in my head at random times. I don't have this list like where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do an artist spotlight of this person, this person, this person, this person. I don't have them scheduled out. I'll see something they post and I'll be like, I want to do one about this person.
Yeah.
And or I played a show with them this weekend, or we had a conversation on the phone. So instead of asking me when are you going to do my spotlight, just fucking call me up and say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Like, let's start there.
Oh, I get the people all the time because I take the truck submissions, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, I emailed you my truck and you never put it in a video. And I'm like, I get thousands of submissions, bro.
Don't even get me fucking started on
and I just have to pick the ones I want to do and whatever. And there's no sense of fairness to it. It's just I look at a picture and like, oh, I can write something funny about that. And I go, sorry if your truck didn't catch my eye or whatever, you know what I mean? But literally, I looked at 600 of them today. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I wrote jokes about 4 of them. You know, I can't guarantee you just because you do this thing that you're going to be a part of what I'm doing. It just happens. It's a very organic thing that I do. And so I tried to explain it like I get thousands of these things and they're not all going to get done. You know what I mean? They're not all, they don't all evoke something in me that makes me go, oh, I can make fun of this or whatever. You know what I mean? Every once in a while something catches my eye and that's where I write the jokes.
I get that a lot about songs.
That expectation though, that is just, well, let me, and sometimes I get a little heated, especially if they're rude about it. Because I'm like, first of all, I haven't seen any checks at my house with your name on it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I get a lot of checks for work I do.
Maybe that needs to be your response.
People pay me for work I do, but what you're getting is for free.
Maybe your response needs to be, hey, you know what? Actually, I'll throw your fucking truck up there. It's going to cost you $500. You send me $500, I'll put yours at the front of the fucking list.
Yeah. Something.
And then they'll go away. You know, one of the things that I have to deal with on a regular basis, you know, a big part of my career, I was just playing cover songs. Mm-hmm. And so I would learn whatever the hottest song was and I would learn it. But now I'm at this point where I'm pushing my own stuff, but I still play some shows where I play a lot of covers.
Yeah.
But I play the covers I want to play. I don't play covers based on how popular they are.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people come up and they'll be like, hey, can you play song A? And I'm like, nah, man, I don't know that. And they will literally get fucking mad, bro.
Somebody got mad at you in the chat one time. This is funny as shit because you do these live shows sometimes where you stream live.
Yeah.
And I usually, if I see you on, I always tune in.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's my buddy. I want to see what he's doing.
You'll say something.
Yeah. And I usually say hi or what's up. But I recommended some song or something. You were asking for a request or something. And I said some song. And you're like, oh, man, I don't know that song. And you went on and were playing somebody else's song. And then somebody in the chat got mad about it. And I was like, bro, I'm the one that asked for it. Pump the brakes, man. Settle down. He doesn't know the damn song. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want him to play something he doesn't know.
Dude,
that would be stupid.
It blows my fucking mind, man. And it's like
you're just supposed to have a library in your head of everybody else's music.
Every single fucking song that's ever been put out or ever hit a number one, I'm supposed to know.
And then it's political. You don't know Jason D? Why you hate?
It's just like lose, man. I don't understand people. Like people are so, and I think that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's just lack of respect, lack of consideration. You know,
I think I would learn the dumbest song ever. And then every time somebody asked me for something I didn't want to play it, they were rude about it, I'd just be like, all right, I'm going to play your song.
Well, yeah, somebody asked me.
Just play Shake It Off after that or something.
Somebody asked me Chris Cornell the other night. They're like, hey, can you know any Chris Cornell? And I was like, and they had already asked me for like 5 or 6 songs. And I didn't know any of them. And they were already rolling their fucking head, rolling their eyes, you know. So they're like, this guy didn't fucking know anything. I know like 3,000 songs, but I don't know your 3,000 songs.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, here's some Chris Cornell. And I just started playing fucking Sweet Caroline.
That's hilarious.
And I'm just like,
I'd have been on the floor.
I'm like, whatever. All right, cool story. I don't ever want to make anybody have a bad time, but man, like, there's just too many fucking people on this planet that it's got to be about them.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, it's the expectation sometimes. And it's like,
well, and now Slade and I talked about this yesterday. Like, now y'all have this next uphill battle that y'all are going to have to climb as stand-up comedians, because now you got all these TikTok videos coming out of these comedians doing crowd work, right? Like Matt Rife. Like, you got these comedians that are doing crowd work because that's what you put out on TikTok, because you don't want to put your actual act out on TikTok. Because if you're going to do a special, then you lost that. You've lost that joke to a fucking TikTok video. But so I understand the need for it, or the want for it to spread who you are, because I see a lot of guys like that now. But now what it's doing is it's setting up the expectation that if you go to a fucking comedy show, that you're part of the show and you're going to get up there and just be able to fucking run your mouth. And I don't know how you are going to deal with that. Like that, I think, have you already seen a change? Or
I've experienced some of it.
It's coming,
I don't court a lot of crowd work. I'm usually very just kind of. In fact, I told a lady in Louisville, and I felt bad because they were fans of mine that showed up excited, bought tickets.
That's when it's the worst, man.
But they pre-gamed a little hard, right? They went in the paint before the show.
Yeah.
And she got drunk. She was asking. It was one of the coolest moments. She was asking for one of my older bits, but she didn't know the name. And she was just saying something over and over again. And I finally got what she was saying. And I said, that's not really stuff I'm doing anymore. I'm working on my new act. I'm working on my new special, but I don't mind doing the bit. I've never had anybody ask me to cover my own material. That's kind of a cool moment.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so I started to try to do the bit, and then she wouldn't shut up. And I let it go for just a little bit, and then I just stopped. And I took a deep breath. I go, ma'am, I love you. Thank you so much for buying tickets. Come out and see me. I love that you love my old stuff, but I really need you to shut the fuck up so I can do it. Yeah. and her and her boyfriend got mad and they left. And I was like, I feel for you, but I was trying to acquiesce your request and you still wouldn't shut up. You know what I mean? You were too far gone to be out in public. It was time for you to go home. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Are there people in comedy clubs that go around and shush people? Does that happen?
Good clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a good club that's well run, there is somebody watching that room. And they will generally, some comics court it. You know what I mean? Some comics court it and don't. Slade likes to be in control of the room he's in, and he does a very good job of it. Yeah. I don't really like a lot of crowd work. I don't want to run anybody out of the room, but if somebody has to tap them on the shoulder and go, hey, man, can you quiet down a little bit? Everybody else is trying to enjoy this. I always tried to deal with it as that. Like, hey, I know you're having a good time. I don't get a lot of mean hecklers, first off. Yeah. But I'm not a mean-spirited person on stage or whatever, so I don't evoke that. But I get a lot of, I call them the testify hecklers, where they're like, hey, man, hell yeah. After a while, I'm like, hey, can you shut up? I love you. But you're screwing up. You stepped on two of my punchlines now. Yep. Or people that are just too excited and they're having too good a time. So I don't want to be mean to those people. I'm not going to go after them while I'm on stage. I may poke at them a little bit, make a couple little lighthearted jokes. But, I had an old lady that was doing that. And I was like, okay, Mimo. I need you to pump the brakes.
We ain't at church.
I'm glad you're having a good time, but all these other people paid for tickets and they want to hear what I've got to say. They didn't pay to come listen to you.
Yeah. I mean, I did it on a live album. That whole fucking shut the fuck up. You'll hear it on the record. I left it on the record. I left it on the record. I mean, that dumb bitch's fucking phone. Her phone went off. I'm setting up Needle and Thread. Her phone goes off. While I'm setting up Needle and Thread. Yeah. Like the most important fucking song I've ever written. The most hurtful, you know what I mean? Like the most special fucking song I've ever written. I'm setting it up. We got 200 people in this crowd. They all paid $20 to get in this motherfucker. And your fucking phone just went off. And we're recording a live album and you all know it. Mm-hmm. So I've said something about that. And then the very next fucking song, dude, I'm start the intro for the song and the same table won't shut the fuck up, man. And I was just like, hold on. Stop the train. Yeah. I said something along the lines of, I'm trying really hard not to be an asshole here. I really am. I don't want to be an asshole. But people pay $20 a piece to get in here and hear these stories. And my band, we rehearsed for 3 months to get ready for this show to record this album. So if you don't mind, could you just please shut the fuck up? And the whole crowd went crazy. And I left it on the record because Chad Prather told me I had to. And so it's on there. And I've caught a little bit of flack for it, but
not by people that matter, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Will Loden was with me in Louisville, and one of the late shows. It's always the late show. Some gals were lit. They were in the bathroom being loud. You could hear them out in the showroom cackling and shit. And then they come out to the table and they're noisy and shit in the middle of, he's got 20 minutes to do his act and work on his act. He's the middle act. And also he's going to try to take the bullet from me because he doesn't want me to have to deal with it when I get up there. And that's what a good middle act does. We've all done it, that played that part. But it was the funniest shit, dude. So these brothers are just being loud as hell. And he just kind of looks at them. And one of them goes, "We're sorry." And he goes, "I know, but be sorry quietly." Yeah. And I almost peed on myself. I was in the corner of the room. And I was like, good God almighty. Yeah. That's one of the funniest things. Because no matter what happens after that, he's the good guy.
Yeah.
The crowd's on his side, and no matter what she says, she's going to be an asshole if she opens her mouth again. Yeah. And she did. Oh, God. She kept going.
That's the good part about being us, for sure, is we're going to have a leg up on you no matter what. We have a microphone. People are there to see us, or they're there to see what we're doing. They may not be there to see us particular, but they're there to see what's going on. I guarantee you no one is in this place to hear you talk.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychology in it, too, with that crowd mentality. I see young comics make this mistake a lot of times when they're following a comic that did really well in front of them. And then they'll get on stage and make a joke that kind of bashes them or whatever, trying to be funny. And I was like, yeah, but all those people sitting in those seats loved that person.
Yeah.
And so you just got on stage and told them you don't like what they like. So they're questioning you.
Yeah.
Now they don't like you. My approach to it has always been, if somebody just kills it, I immediately acknowledge it right when I get on stage. Give it that. That was amazing. Boom. And then I move on to my thing. And the crowd goes, "Oh, he likes the same kind of thing we like."
Yeah.
We're already on his side. And you take that energy and that wave and you ride it and you build your set. Or if somebody just eats it in front of me and the crowd hates them, I don't acknowledge it at all.
Oh, really?
I see guys get up there and go, "Whoa, y'all treated him like a redheaded stepchild," or whatever. And the crowd's like, "Well, don't you think we should have?" You know what I mean? So I just don't acknowledge it. I just go, I do my work. I go, "Oh, it's my job to turn this around. So let me do my work."
The only thing that even comes close to seeing a stand-up comedian kill a room, like I'm talking about just fucking kill a room. And you know what I'm talking about. When they have that set.
Those rare nights.
That is just like,
when you burn it
shit.
down.
The only thing that's even comes close to that for me as a fan is to watch one just fucking bomb, dude. When you're looking at it and you're like, it's uncomfortable for you because it's so fucking bad. It's the greatest. It's like somebody getting kicked in the nuts to me. It's great.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I love it.
It's especially, so for me, it's especially funny when it's one of my friends. And it's somebody I know is funny.
Yeah.
They're just not, it's not their night. For whatever reason, something happened. It's not their night and they're not getting the job done that night. Or there are on occasions just shitty crowds, and there's shitty environments to do art in. And so I can remember I've just like sat on the side of the stage and just watched one of my friends eat it and just been dying, just crying. Only thing you can hear in the room is me laughing.
Yeah.
Every time a joke doesn't land, and they go off like, "You dick." But that was funny.
But then
it's your turn. I'm going
and
up.
then your friends, and you're gonna bust their balls the next till they redeem themselves on a stage.
Only one time I saw a comic that I really like, and definitely will not. But it was a comic I really like in Houston. Really funny guy. Really clever, really interesting, funny guy. But we were doing a show out in Cypress, and it's kind of a rednecky bar.
Yeah.
And they just weren't with it. Whatever he was doing. I mean, from the minute he opened his mouth, I've never seen anybody bomb like that. Like, it was the most, it was one of those that I couldn't even laugh about and enjoy because it was too real. Yeah. I was like, "Oh, that could happen to anybody." It was like he went and stuck his dick in everybody's drink before he got on stage. These people hated him. And it was just 10 minutes of torture watching this guy try to find anything he could relate to the crowd about. And they just ate his, I mean, they broke dreams that night. You know what I mean? Like, it was, at some point, it was like, I'm going to go outside and smoke a cigarette because this is hurting my soul to watch at this point. It's not even funny right now. Yeah. This could happen to anybody. This is terrible. I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I'll do a lot of those podcasts with these younger comics. And that's all they want to talk about in there. What's the worst time you ever bombed? Which I know what that time is. Or when's the last time you bombed? And I'm like, I don't know. I quit doing that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, I definitely have sets that I'm not as happy with as other things.
Or you're a little off.
But the last time I felt like, I do not know how to do my job has been a long time.
Same here.
You know what I mean? Like, there's times where I'm not happy with the show. I'm not happy with Thursday night in Louisville. Drove all day, got stuck in traffic, drove all day, got to the hotel just in time to run to the club.
Horrible headspace.
Yeah, I'm irritated. I'm not in a good place. My feature act's well rested. He destroys the place. And I got to go try to follow his energy. And I just don't have it. I don't have the gas in the tank. I've drank coffee. It's not enough. And it wasn't a bad show, but I walked away from it like, damn, that could have been so much better. You know, if I'd had more energy, if I'd have been a little more focused on what I was doing, instead of warped up about this other thing, it could have been better. But it wasn't a bomb, but like there was still laughter. People bought merch and stuff like that. I've
had those shows.
It's been a long time since I was in stage in front of a crowd and was like, what are you doing up here, bro?
Yeah.
Those happened, but they way back when. You know what I mean?
I feel you, man.
I didn't like that feeling, so I started trying to make it not happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that all the time. People say, well, some nights you just have off nights. And I'm like, no, I don't really.
Yeah, but my off night is a set I'm not happy with. It's not, I walked out, everybody in that room hated my guts. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't have those.
Yeah, anymore. I don't have off nights where my voice won't hit the notes or any of that shit. That just never happens. But I'm sure it will, but it hasn't happened yet.
But practice. Yeah. It's the 10,000 hours of practice. Yeah.
All the time. You're always doing it. Hey, I could sit here and fucking talk to you all day. You're one of my favorite people on the fucking planet. I love you.
God bless.
I think your stuff's funny. How can everybody find your stuff?
Jerry Wayne Live on Instagram and Jerry Wayne Live on Instagram and YouTube, and then just Jerry Wayne Longmire on TikTok and Facebook.
Yeah.
And
I'm probably gonna have you on again at some point. Well, I just want these to be just cool conversations with people that I find cool.
Hell yeah.
And people that I can maybe what makes people laugh or whatever. Maybe make people think a little bit about.
No, that's never gonna happen.
I don't know, man. I think this long form stuff works if you can ever get people hooked on it.
It's my favorite thing. I use podcasts. So somebody taught me this. I didn't know this. A lot of times when you're driving and you're listening to music, especially if it's music you already know and you already like, it's really easy to get drowsy because your brain is not active listening. It's passive listening.
Right.
So when you're listening to people do podcasts and talk about information you don't know, your brain stays more alert because it's active listening. So I started doing that on these long drives. I'll listen to Joe Rogan. I'll listen to whatever, even stuff I disagree with or whatever. I will just listen to it. There's one I really love right now called Disgraceland. And he just talks about all these wild people. A lot of it's country music.
Oh, cool.
And he tells how he said, like, the very first ones that he did was called Disgraceland. And it's about Jerry Lee Lewis and how he got away with murder and, when he tried to attack Elvis and all this stuff. And it's because his mansion, that's what the locals call it, is Disgraceland.
Oh, really?
As a play on Graceland. You know what I mean? And so he started this. And so I listened to one the other night coming back. When I was driving through Arkansas, I was listening to one about Willie Nelson. I didn't realize how wild Willie Nelson was when he was younger. Like, he had like a shootout on his property in Nashville. He had a son-in-law that was beating his daughter. And he went down there. They all lived on this big ranch in Nashville that he had. They call it the first hippie commune in Nashville. He had this big piece of land. He had his mother-in-law. He had all these people living there, his ex-wife, all his stuff. And this dude beat up on his girl. And so Willie went down there and put an ass whooping on the dude and thought that would solve the problem. Well, then the guy shows up at at the main house with a gun and starts firing off rounds. And Willie and I didn't know Willie had this bodyguard for all these years. It was his drummer.
Oh, really?
But this dude was he was a debt collector. His name was Paul English. Read about Paul English, dude. This guy's wild, bro.
I'll check that out.
Carried a snub-nosed pistol in his pocket, was good at getting money out of club owners that wouldn't pay Willie. Like, this dude was a head buster and pretty decent drummer, you know?
We all need those people.
Yeah, I was like, boy, if you're going to get anybody in the band,
the drummer.
It should be the percussion guy, especially in a country band. He's not doing anything crazy.
Yeah.
You can find a moderate, decent drummer that can handle the road, you know, but if the guy can collect debts on the side and also watch your back,
take out some fucking kneecaps,
that's the guy you want, you know what I mean?
His name's Paul.
Yeah, I didn't know Willie had this dude all these years, especially when he got to Texas, and people were like, hey, these guys are skimming off you, and Willie's like, I know they are, but they're loyal. Yeah. He goes, I expect them to, but they're loyal.
Yeah.
And that's how, so anyway, so I listen to a lot of that stuff. Active listening keeps me awake on the road. So you might be right. Might change the way some people think.
Who knows, man? Drowsy. Either way, like I said, you're one of the funniest people I know. You're one of my favorite people. What I appreciate about you is how much you support me and how much you support the music community. And, you know, I love those 2 a.m. text messages back and forth about some crazy fucking song. And and I'll listen to something I haven't heard before because of you or whatever. So I appreciate your friendship and all that stuff. And I keep killing it, man. It makes me happy to see so many of my friends fucking killing it right now.
Man, we're all doing stuff right now.
Doing
stuff. Slade's doing stuff.
Yeah.
Trey's doing. We're all doing stuff right now, and it feels cool. The Whiskey Brothers has begun to feel like a collective to me, instead of like a podcast. Like it's more of a creative collective. We all have. That's how I met you. That's how I met BC, who did the music on my special. Marzi I grew up with, but that's how they all met. Marzi was through me, and it's. Oh man, I just love that thing, man. I get those text messages from Marzi too, like.
Me too. Yeah.
Hey, brother, I love you. How are you doing? You know, he's like the most positive guy in the world anyways.
Yeah, man, it's really cool whenever you have something like the Whiskey Brothers podcast that becomes like this fraternity. Yeah. You know, that's the way I look at it. Because even though there's been so many people come and go from that, you know, I met Dave, Outlaw Dave, through them, and you know, just a whole bunch of people, and it's really cool. There's another podcast called Gotta Love Texas Music Podcast that some people started, and now they've become friends of mine, and we have this whole fraternity coming online. So it's like I have all these different sects of people that I'm going to hang out with and becoming like and building like a community with those people, and it's really cool. It is cool, but the only way to do that is you got to be open-minded, man. You got to know that there's going to be some folks out there that disagree with you, and you got to just be cool about that. And that's what's really cool about the art, the side of art. You can call us liberals, you can call us fucking whatever you want to call us. I don't care, but we're just a little more open-minded than the average person, and we can. I feel like we can. You know, I can hang out with Chad Prather one day and Rob Muggle the next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what I'm talking about. You know?
Yeah, Chad's one of those guys that me and him disagree vehemently about a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I respect what he's doing. Yeah. And I have respect for him as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's super smart and he cares. Yeah.
And I know that, he does a lot of good things too. Yeah, he provokes people and he gets people all worked up. But he also does a lot of good shit for people that doesn't get talked about, you know.
He does.
And so, me and Rob, we will argue till we're blue in the face about shit, you know, on the other side of the coin. But he's opening a restaurant, you know, and you know who's going to be one of the first people there supporting that restaurant?
Absolutely,
me.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Because I'm so proud of this thing that I know all these people. We couldn't be more different people, and we're all doing stuff. And for me, that's like I especially when I meet people who are like really into country music, I always turn them on to Monster. I'm like, go listen to this. Just in your headphones. Don't go listen to it right now while we're in a bunch. The next time you have your headphones on and you're like, I need something to listen to, go listen to this song. And then come back and talk to me about it.
That's
like,
awesome.
And those people come do that, and then they become fans of yours, like the B-Raw podcast guy.
Yeah.
Like he's like your biggest fan in the world right now.
Yeah.
And I turned him on to the Monster song, and he was like, "Holy shit, man, that's one of the best country songs ever." I was like, "I know, right, bro? It's his thing."
Man,
you
thank
know?
you so much. I wish it would fucking take off.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get that to multiply by like 2 billion?
Man. You know what's going to happen with that song is it's going to be like after you pop. And then people are going to start going on those deep dives to get into all your old stuff.
Or after I die.
Yeah.
That's my luck.
Especially if you like die in a cool way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I can guarantee you I'm going to die in a cool way.
Hang gliding in Colorado and they find you upside down in a tree with a pound of weed in your pocket.
I guarantee
people are going to be like, I need to hear this guy's music.
There's going to be a hazmat crew have to clean me up.
If you do a Hank Jr., 500 feet boulder face first. I'm not advocating for it because I miss you. But, but God dang,
that's my level.
Make some money.
Yeah, that's what'll happen. The day after I fucking die, it'll go platinum or some shit. Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, brother. Well, I love you. We're gonna get out of here. We'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.